I have to let stream catch up. I can hear myself now. Although whatever you did, I also stopped hearing myself, just an FYI. Oh, never mind. Oh, I think working. Oh, never mind. Fuck.
Hold on. I think mic audio, multi-chat doesn't need to be on. That doesn't need to be on.
Yeah, hold on. I think it's working.
Okay, now it should be. I think, I don't know exactly how some of these track things work. I was playing around with some stuff. It should be working now. Test.
Yeah, it's working.
Test. Yep, okay, cool, perfect. Beautiful. Thank you, Fred Game. Appreciate that.
Yeah, because it was all working prior to going live.
Yeah, well, and the weird thing is the, well, I mean, it makes sense now, but I saw all the audio levels on my thing too. Like they're all bouncing up and down, so it was reading it.
It was working.
But it wasn't actually. Everything's working now, I think. Thank you. Welcome back. You're true to your word. You did come back. All right. Okay, so Kyle, I have a few documents open, but one I figured one of the biggest things that probably needs to be done is to make sure we stay organized, because everything's, I feel like, kind of a mess in this folder. So I just wanted to have a document that's like patch, whatever.
Okay.
And then that way we can kind of figure out what we're doing. I think one of the biggest things is going to be figuring out sorry, my brain's not working. Figuring out what we want to improve, right? I think just like doing a quick bullet point of like, we can go through this post game jam testing document I've got, and we can like look through all these and decide what things we need to work on first. Because I figured we probably aren't going to get to like everything, because like I want to add deck building, but that's probably not something we're going to add overnight.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna get
Right.
deck building today.
So,
Deck building is a whole other, like, that opens up the concept of like constructed formats and drafting, and just like that is a whole that's not a can of worms, that's like
a bucket of
shipping
worms.
container.
Shipping container full of worms. I did have a thought on testing that though. This is kind of already diverging from what we need to be doing, but just like breaking down the decks into, or like the decks into sort of different play styles, like, on kill effect causes, or like, on kill effect cards all stacked together, and seeing if you play that deck, if it feels balanced whatsoever, or if it's just instantly like makes you win, and then trying to balance those different play styles around each other. But again, that's a later, that's a problem for later us. But could be fun to do at least.
And do you want to start with just like some of the stuff that you pulled from the playtesting? Like, for example, the fact that when you did one of the playtests with one of the stronger gods, the game went like 3 hours and just never ended.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to focus on things like that, like the smaller, like.
Honestly, the biggest things that probably the most important things to do is going to be just card clarity, I think. Because a lot of these, there's just like certain things where it's like, oh, how does this interaction work? Let's see. Maxima says this is a good idea to be realistic. Yeah, for sure.
I think that was in response to the like we want to do deck building.
Yeah.
We're both, like, realizing that deck building is
let's
whole thing.
Make sure we don't have scope creep or whatever. Right off the bat. So yeah. I guess honestly, maybe the best way to do this then is just read through all this stuff and then kind of retranscribe it into actionable things into the patch notes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Random ideas. This is just kind of me randomly having ideas while playing the game that weren't related necessarily to.
These are the first two of these are new cards, correct?
Yeah. So a wall card. This I honestly don't think this is necessary, but it could be interesting, right? Just having like a something to block enemy attacks because their first turn they get to attack and you don't really, right? So like just having the game start with like a wall or something in front of it, like some sort of blocker, could be interesting.
I'm starting a new card section in the other deck.
And maybe that's like a god, honestly. It's like the god starts with that, but so yeah, that could be an option. And then yeah, board wipe spell, obviously. I don't even know if like it necessarily needs to be a board wipe, but I think we even mentioned this over like Messenger or whatever, that doing like AoE, more AoE attacks I think might be useful.
Yeah, for context for anyone watching who's not familiar with the term board wipe, I at least learned it from Magic. I have no idea if it has things in other card games because I haven't like played those at a very like meta level. But board wipe as a Magic concept is, hey, there are a lot of cards on the playing board right now, and I don't like all of them, and I kind of want to just reset.
Let's just start over.
And right now the game doesn't have any, which in testing the lower power level didn't really seem to be that big of a problem.
Yeah.
The high power level seems like a really big problem.
My only worry with that though is it could also just make the game go longer if we don't fix the overarching problems, right? Because it could just be like, you just get right back to a difficult state right away or something like that. So that,
I agree, but that's why I want to keep open the concept of like AoE. The idea, I think at one point we had a concept of like, oh, what if you can, pay a certain amount into it to just destroy that many things from the opponent's side, where it's like, it's more of a one-sided board wipe. It's more of a, oh God, we're losing, like from the Game Jam judging, where they were just losing hardcore, didn't have a way to come back, in a card that says like, for every land you have, destroy one enemy card would have kind of been helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So you're making it so there's a...
Looks like rules clarity. Number 3.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the idea of that is gonna be it's because I think how we had it was like, if someone has the most number of lowest cards, then they lose their cards. But even if someone has, 10 stronger cards, if someone who has the most weakest, I think is how it's... I don't know if that's how it's worded or if that's how we originally said it or what. I'd have to actually look at the rules to know for sure. But I think we want to make it prioritize the player who's the most strongest, I guess, right? Because it feels bad when you're doing bad as like the second player and then just one player is just doing really good and you're just kind of getting punished for that. AoE board wipes are good for comebacks, though. They can save you from dying situations. The AoE is especially good for getting value out of defensive situations. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because we've had a few situations where it's just was impossible to come back from, and then something like a board wipe, even though maybe not something that you get every turn, I think, or like every game, there's still a chance that you could come back, right? So I think that's important.
And then you've had some other situations as well where the board was just gummed up with like literally each player had a dozen or two cards, and you just couldn't get through everything. And again, like a selective or targeted board wipe that allows you to remove a lot of important things, even if you have to sacrifice some stuff as well, would be useful for like unjamming that.
Yeah, it's honestly, the weird part is I feel like the game is actually primarily unfairly balanced against the enemy right now, despite what our game jam judging looks like. Because
as we demonstrated, well, we demonstrated in a live stream. Your video hasn't come out yet, but as we demonstrated in a live stream immediately after that, they could have totally won that game with a couple of different moves. So some of it is just like, not saying this in a bad way, but like player experience. If you don't know how the cards work or you don't read the cards, that makes it harder for you to play semi-optimally. I don't even want to say optimally, because some of it was just not reading the card as well.
Yeah, because I think out of like the 10 to 12 plays I did since then, like 13, I guess, if you include that, I think there's only been 2 losses. And then the last game I played, which was just kind of a draw because we just didn't finish.
Surprisingly low.
Yeah. There just seems to always be a way to deal with things, which is kind of good. I think like people get really scared about the bad guy whenever he draws cards. Everyone just gets terrified. It's kind of funny, and you're like, just calm down. It's gonna be okay. You'll have something.
I mean, I do like that it instills that feeling of like, oh god, they're drawing cards.
We're so screwed.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sorry, I'm about to take a slight tangent. It kind of is a good teaching game for people to understand like what actual threats are in like the big boy card games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Because like one of the biggest problems we have in teaching new players Magic in like my in-person play group is whenever someone comes in, whenever they see a big creature come out, like a 10/10 flying dragon, they're like, oh my god, that's so risky, like so dangerous. But they ignore the person on the other side who's just been drawing 5 cards every turn and just has like every single card in their hand. They're like, no, that's not a threat. And I'm like, no, that's the threat, guys.
That's the scary guy.
Armies Against Entropy teaches you this by being like, oh, when they draw cards, it's bad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. AoE breaks momentum. It's a good idea to have ways for a player to slow down the player's offense. Yeah, for sure. Or in this case the god cards. Yeah. Bad guy drawing cards. Yeah. It's the same feeling as a DM rolling dice out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly.
Your DM just rolls a die and they just go,
Hey, you're like, what was that roll? No, don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's nothing. Anyway, no. Let's see. But yeah, so I think just prioritizing stronger people, and honestly, along with this, and I might mention this later, but I think removing maybe random variability in attack priority is probably good. Like, just try to remove it in all cases. Like, there's always a rule for something.
What do we have that's still random?
I'm trying to think. I guess if 2 players have equal, like say, we both have a warrior, they both have 4 units on it, they're attacking. That's a coin flip right now, currently. If we have 2 of the cards that are the same power level, I feel like either we go with like whoever has the most cards gets attacked, or we do it, the players get to decide like the other rules, I think.
Yeah, I'm for that. I don't like randomness when it's not a player-driven action, meaning like if a player
Yeah.
does something that says flip a coin and X happens, that's okay
Yeah.
for me. But when you're trying to figure out what a like quote unquote AI player is doing in this case, I
Yeah.
feel like randomness is not great.
Yeah, it's like, what is the ruling? I don't know, flip a coin. Like, that just doesn't seem... Yeah.
I think that's fine. I put it as a sub note of like, yeah, it's really just
It's kind of
it's
its
really
own...
just me.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, and then, you know, that just feels better.
This is more deterministic, and so you can actually learn to remember the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that just makes the game go faster too, I feel like. Let's see what I say here. Oh, yes, this is a big
all
one.
cards need the same treatment as monsters got more enemy card draw and weaker land structures.
I think it's more...
This is like a revision pass on the old god cards again.
Correct.
Like we did for monsters where we like decreased everything's health, but gave them more stuff. I
think really the wording this a little more shortly is that monster deck needs more variation, I think. I think like every land being the same. I think that like what we need to do is add more choice, I guess, right? Because right now it's like you attack lands or you die. It's kind of how it works. It's like there's never like a should I let this monster live or should I kill the land? It's never a choice. So I think adding variations to lands and structures, like especially their health, you know, if they're a more powerful card, give them less health. If they're a less powerful card, give them more health, kind of deal. So make them balance in that sort of aspect.
At one point, didn't we have a lot of variability in the lands and it was overwhelming to a degree? I think maybe we course corrected too hard into the let's simplify it a bit, and now we're trying to find the middle point.
I think so. I don't know if we ever actually experimented with health variability. I think we just had like what they did variability, if that makes sense. Variation is good, and
he's got a very good point, actually.
An extent of that would be monster decks being possible in the future if you add deck build. Yeah, it would be cool to have more monster decks. Yeah.
Well, even if it's not straight up deck building, like on the player side, we want to introduce the concept of a player being able to custom build their own deck, and probably the stepping stone into that is, well, for each of the current like our players get to choose gods. Those gods are kind of like their commander or like their like leader or whatever you want to call it. Starting out by creating like custom decks for each of those that kind of play into that play style. I think on the old god side, which are the bad guys, just even having different decks for each old god would be cool. And then that also opens up. Sorry, I'm going to go down the like capitalist monetization route. That also introduced the ability to like introduce like bonus packs or expansion packs of like, hey, here's 3 new old gods with new custom decks for them, and then more advanced players could like customize that as they want. But
yeah, no, I think that's because honestly the old god probably should determine what cards are in their deck. I think, like, you know, you pick the easiest god, it has a lot more endlings than, you know, and it doesn't have a world ender or something in it, whereas, you know, maybe a harder deck would. So I think that's probably good to that'd be cool. That'd be rad, you know.
Put this down as lands all feel the same and they're a priority for players to destroy. Basically, how do we undo that?
Yes. Ooh.
Ooh. Add variations to lands and structures based on their health and effects, and then just review enemy card draw, see if it makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see.
Random ideas. Now it's the playtest stuff.
God, Charm has so much that I think it's... Part of me is considered just removing it completely. Other parts of me is just, considered it just needs a lot more words or just better wording in general.
I need to look at Charm. I don't remember it.
You know what I
I
should
mean, I know the
do? I
concept
only
of
pull
it.
up Dexterous here too, so I can actually just show stuff on stream, so it looks pretty
Oh,
while I
it's
do
not
it.
just us literally sitting here writing in a note stock.
Yeah. Player cards.
Can I also
Sure.
see Dexterous, or is it just you? Like, there's no way of doing a shared project, is there?
I want to say there is, but hold on.
It's fine. I'll just live in the Google Sheet.
There are cards in the. You could potentially look at the printable card folder and then just pull up the PDF, but
I'll just look at the Google Sheet. It's easier to actually find what I need. Okay, Charm. Choose a monster with power level 3 or less. You take control of that monster. It now behaves like a hero. So what was happening here?
okay,
Was
a
it-
lot of different things. Do monsters still get their death effect when they die if they're on your side? That's question one.
Good question.
Here, we're just gonna make a whole charm category. Also, wait, I totally didn't do the thing I just said I was gonna do.
Leave the card up.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to see if I could. I keep opening Soul by accident. But like,
about it. For me, I can just use the Google Sheet.
yeah, I was just trying to do it for. Wait. Okay, hold on.
Can you make it bigger?
There we go. Pretty. So yeah, there's definitely a few things. So yeah, one is, yeah, do they gain their death effect?
I mean, it
Just,
is an interesting option if you take control of something with a powerful death effect and then you need to figure out a way to kill it. Did it introduce any weird play patterns when you were testing it?
I think the thing is, most of them have too low of a level for it to be that interesting, because it's all level 3 or lower, right? So
death effects anyway.
But the problem is my other least favorite card, which is Abyssal Horde, which is also gonna need a.
Oh right, this one. I forgot about
I can't
Abyssal
spell
Horde.
Abyssal apparently. There we go, or Horde. So those two combined are really weird, because the other thing is this says power level.
Crap.
Does this include units? I argue probably no, but also that's going to need clarity, you know?
In chat, just to
Yeah, I
answer
just
that
lost
question.
my chat.
Well, the most recent question: death effects are typically positive for the player, meaning the player, when it kills, when the player is able to kill one of the bad guys like minions, then most of those minions have a death effect that does something like, hey, one of your units gets a little stronger, or maybe you get to draw a card, or what have you. So they're generally positive for the player.
I think with the one exception being the Hydra, who I guess technically it isn't a death effect, but it's just their main effect. When they die, the enemy gets to draw a card, which is also just absolutely terrifying. Let's see here. Let me catch up on chat here, because I was a little bit behind. Well, if you control a monster fully, you can choose if you want the death effect or not. Can you? Oh yeah, because it is negative. So that way the player should get positive if they control the enemy. See, the thing is, like, I think the idea for charm is because most spells, like if you look at, let's see what spells, no, wrong way. If you look at like Demolish or Banish from Existence or like some of these, they destroy the card, but then the death effect doesn't trigger, which is like its balance, right? It's balanced in that way. Whereas Charm was mostly balanced around the fact that it's a power level 3 or lower. But I almost feel like it could be better to remove the power level limit, which fixes one problem, and then allowing death effects to trigger, meaning like it's kind of a trade-off. You get this thing on your side, but if it dies, the death effect still applies, right? But actually, I guess that's not a trade-off because they're really positive.
That's just joint. You steal a monster and its death effect.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like,
I guess I was just thinking about the Hydra's draw card, but or like the. Well, I guess you could. That would just no. Oh man, because then if you do have a higher power level, you get into weird things like the Nether Muck who comes back to life after they die. So,
I feel like Charm has to work by turning off death effects, just because it makes it so confusing.
Yeah,
actually,
that's what I'm saying.
Does Charm have to just turn off any effects? Because like a lot of these cards above power level 3 have actual effects, like when it deals damage, gains units. When it's destroyed for the first time, return it to play. The old god draws an additional card per turn. If it would attack, it destroys the card owned by the player with most units.
Yeah, like if a rift spawner exists, does that mean they technically still draw more cards even though they're on your side? Like, yeah, that's it brings up a lot of like weird things, and then that then just starts to feel uninteresting, right? If they don't have any effects.
Well, I mean, it's effective card removal.
Yeah.
Charm turns into a destroy this card, and also you get to play a hero. Basically, that's still pretty strong. Like
the other, but here's the third and final thing.
No.
What does power level mean?
I mean,
for good deck.
Sorry, what do you mean?
That's a bad wording. What I'm trying to say is, like, say you get I don't know, you get a Chaos Worm, right? They have 3 power level.
Right.
Say there is an Endling on the other side who has a power level of 1, and they attack your Chaos Worm.
They don't have units, which breaks the entire
game.
Oh Lord!
What if you nerf it so you work on the enemy, like, draws 3 cards, and then the enemy draws if you charm them? Maybe you put the charm.
This card is before we did the unit rework, didn't we?
I mean, this thing has existed for a very long time. We just didn't ever really look back at it. And yeah, but it's before we changed the whole power level, and then we're like, oh, power level doesn't work. Or like, oh, damage doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. We'll do power level. Wait, power level doesn't work. We'll get rid of it completely. So
for context for chat,
yeah.
We used to have a bunch of different ways of like rating how powerful a card was. And when I say rating, I mean like, oh, it has like a power level of 10, or it does 10 damage, or it has 10 units on it. And we ultimately, every time you lift that cup on stream, Beats.
Oh, does it make noise?
No, I'm just seeing this massive, like, it looks like you're just drinking out of a pitcher.
Cheers. This is my brother's $25,000 cup.
What?
It's from a hospital.
Oh my God. But yeah, like, we used to have a bunch of different ways of like indicating a card had a power level or did damage or things like that, and it was super confusing because they weren't similar. So ultimately we reduced it down to just your cards, the player's cards have units that get put on them because they're like heroes leading armies, and the enemy cards have power levels, which is a like static value that never changes, whereas the units on a hero can go up and down as they like fight things. But there's a lot of cards that came from before we did that, and they don't necessarily work well in the system, which is exactly what we're looking at with Charm.
Yeah.
Because the situation here would be, hey, I charm a bad guy, an Endling that has, maybe not an Endling, but like a Chaos Form that has a 3 power.
Yeah.
When I attack something with one of my normal heroes, if it has 3 units on it and it fights something that also has a power level of 3, they kind of like bounce off each other, and then my hero loses 3 units in that battle. Yeah. Power level can't change, so it inherently breaks the way the player attacks are supposed to work.
Yep.
The player's supposed to attack, and then they lose a certain number of units based on like the difficulty of the monster, the power level that they're fighting, and that's the combat. Yeah. This doesn't work if they steal a card without a lot more text.
Yeah. Like if something just keeps attacking strongest and just keeps attacking the same thing over and over again forever because, you know, it always remains the strongest or whatever, like it just gets, you just have an infinite tank basically. So
Charm was from when we weren't sure if this was a PvE or PvP game, wasn't it?
No. I think it came yeah, no, I don't think so, because spells didn't exist right off the bat, and we made the first version of the game without spells, so I think it didn't exist before that. Maybe you change the wording that's written like killer draws a card or the owner draws a card. Maybe there definitely probably needs to be some rewording on the death effects, but that's a whole nother thing. Let's see.
Okay. If you feel sorry, go ahead, read chat.
Sorry, if you feel power units are unnecessarily outside some of the cards that relied on it already, you might want to remove that. Yeah, I think maybe if we want a solution, I think the best thing I can think of is, I guess we keep it relatively as is, and then you just convert the monster's power level to units.
I think that the
you know,
Dalamus Maximus is pointing out of like, do we even need power level at all? Which unfortunately right now, kind of.
Yeah, power level is necessary for monsters, unfortunately. Because that's just kind of how because like we don't want them to have units, because units get too tricky, because then you have to figure out how to allocate units on the monster deck, because, you know, I guess this should be stated if you haven't, you know, seen the game or read the rules or anything. The monster deck isn't a person. They are their own. You just draw cards for them, and then their cards just play themselves out. It's almost like a, you know, an NPC.
I'm trying to think of a game that uses a concept like this. There's a lot of them, but I can't think of a name right now. But the idea is like, this is a PvE style game where the players are teaming up to try and beat the NPC deck effectively, or the boss deck. Boss deck might be a better way to put it. I've heard that phrase thrown around a little bit.
Yep.
Yes,
so we don't want to have to figure out how to allocate units to different cards from the bad guy. So I think power level is just
if we need to look at power level, that's a much bigger discussion than what I think we're targeting for a smaller patch that's meant to be more balance and like fun changes. And when I say fun, I mean changes that encourage more fun when you play the game.
Personally, I'd rather remove charm than remove power level.
Power level would be a full reassessment of like, okay, for like a version 2.0, how is power level working? What can we do to make it better? I think at this point we're a little locked into it, because it would require completely reworking how the enemies work as well as how the entire combat works, unfortunately. So not a bad suggestion of like, do we need power level? Can we like find a different way to do it? But probably not one I think we'll target today.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess the question here is then, do we want to try to fix or come up with a fix for charm while we're talking about it, or do we want to just stew on it and just talk about the rest of the problems?
How often did people play it in playtesting? Like, was it people like had fun with it, or was it just causing problems?
I think the idea of it is fun, but I don't think it really. I think most players thought it was fun to use, just because it was interesting to have a monster on your side. I think, but it was pretty much every time we were like, oh wait, what does this mean? Like, just because of, you know, those three problems. Like, how does the death effect work? How does power level work with this? And
I mean, there is a simple way to fix it.
Yeah.
So the simple way to fix it is literally just to say, you take control. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
Yeah.
We'll respond to that in a second.
Yeah.
The simple way to fix it without actually having to do anything else is literally just say, add additional text that says, like, you take control of a monster, ignore all text on the card, and give it units equal to its power level.
Yeah, I think that's...
And all of a sudden it just becomes a hero with no text, which solves the immediate problem, but doesn't necessarily solve the
also
underlying
behaves like a hero might be slightly confusing, because like all here, like I don't know, the god of war, right? Like heroes gain 3 units. Does that behave like that mean they act as a hero? Might actually be a better word, maybe. Or I guess behaves
as a hero.
Treated. Just behaves seems like.
I mean,
maybe that's the right word. We just only have that. It's the only instance of behaves, I guess, right? So that's something to consider too. But yeah, I'd say honestly. Well, let's look at chat here for a second. Charm right now, power level 3 below would be uninteresting. Mostly nerfing it might be better, or maybe adding more interesting level 3s below enemies. I do think that actually is true. I do want to have more variation in just monsters in general, but
considering right now most decks are made up of 20 power level 1 and power level 2 cards that basically do nothing.
Yeah,
the Shade of the Endling are basically
they're all
slimes. They're slimes from generic RPG.
They're basically the same thing also, because one is a 1 cost that takes 1 unit, and the other is a 2 cost that gives you 1 unit back. So, which is fine, because one attacks strongest, one attacks weakest. But yeah, do we want to just rewrite this now, or do we want to think on it and come back?
Let's think on it.
Deal.
Not just not that. Sorry.
All right.
I'm gonna add this of like.
Yeah, you might want to reword that, because that was horrible. You're a word guy. I'm just the guy who sits here and says things. Behaves feels like it wouldn't affect by hero effects, but would be used like one. I guess that's kind of how I feel, yeah.
Just noting what our current fix is. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'm not totally sold on like just slapping on a band-aid and calling it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with chat right now. He did a comment of letting it take control of level 3 with a cool effect with another thing to nerf it. Feels more fun than just, oh, you can steal a creature and it turns into a weak hero for you. So like, not sold that this is the right fix, but at least if we like go through the entire thing today and realize like we don't have a good fix right now, we can slap this on and it solves the problem temporarily. Doesn't really address the core like underlying root cause, but at least it gives us a way to make it make sense when playtesting.
Right. Agreed. Which might be just like a problem with monsters and not charm, I guess, in a sense, because lower level monsters don't have interesting effects, I guess, is what that boils down to. So
yeah, so definitely worth looking at. All right, next note.
God of War plus Barbarian is cool. That is just a note. That's it. It's just kind of the whole that whole mechanic of gains things when attacking feels very fun. Just so you're aware. Maybe too powerful, unsure, but it feels cool.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those things of like players like doing things, and this encourages them to do things and rewards them for doing things.
Yeah, for sure. If anything, maybe the number just needs to be slightly smaller, like 2 instead of 3, but I don't think it should be 1 because like God of Destruction feels like kind of not worthless, but not nearly as cool with it being 1 unit now, which is, you know, a different concept. But there's going to be talk on balancing gods, but we'll come back to that when I actually get to those notes. Can you destroy your own village?
What does village do?
So that's again somewhat of a bigger topic of, so every card starts with 1 unit, right? And
if you
if you remove it, you get 5 units, which is kind of cool, but also I honestly not sure I feel like being able to sack your cards is necessarily good. It's kind of hard to say because like right now, if like games you're winning, it's like, all right, we got you know, a certain number of units, I can just destroy all my cards and just finish off the old god, which is I think kind of cool. But like I don't know, I'm still conflicted on how I feel about it, because it feels like the game can end really early if you get lots of cards down really quickly. But on the flip side, it's kind of cool. Like, combine our power and then, like, destroy the enemy.
How many cards even destroy a village, or would be able to destroy a village? I feel like there's not a...
Well, it's... Okay, sorry. It's not even... So, okay, let me rephrase. You place the village down and starts with 1 unit, right? If you take that unit off of it, in theory, it destroys the card. Does that make sense?
Do we not have a rule that you can't take all of the units off of something? So technically, you could kill all of your things and just move all of the units onto one card.
Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at. Right now, you can sack everything to do a powerful attack if you really want to.
I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I was gonna say it's cool, but like I said, it can make games end really early. Yeah.
Like, I'm not opposed to the actual pattern, meaning like the idea of playing a bunch of cards as quickly as possible with like the God of Destruction, where whenever a card gets destroyed, you get another unit, then you sack your entire board, get a bunch of free units, and just pile them onto a single like hero. Sounds cool, but none of our balance has that accounted for.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, Han. There's a fun fact. Sorry, okay, that was earlier stuff. Maybe you could remove village depending on what god you choose. Problem with that is that the village is like 1 card of many.
Village is like the village is showing that there is a problem. Basically, the problem is that during the player's turn, there's a phase where they can move all of the units they have placed on various cards around, because each card has, except for lands, but each card has units that kind of act as both their strength and their health, like how many people you've allocated to those things. And you can move them around fairly freely, but if you move all of your units off of a card, it has no health and then gets destroyed.
Although, to be fair, that actually is not a bad point, because, like, you could potentially make it a rule you can't go below 1 unit on a card, right? And then you have
a god that says
you can unit. Yeah, which I think is actually maybe kind of cool.
I mean, it'd be a cool idea for like a god of death, basically.
Yeah, I do like that's the thing, like having rules and then having cards that break those rules, I think is more fun than...
Yeah, I think the chat, Dalamus just literally said the same thing of like, God gives you the ability to remove all units, and any other ones you have to leave it at 1 card. Or 1 on a card. I'd kind of be down for that of like,
Yeah.
we add a rule where you cannot go below 1 and then add a card to break the rule.
Yeah, no, I agree. Are we saying your name right? Dalamus?
I think it was Dallas, like Dallas, the city.
Dalamus.
Like,
I don't know.
Dalamus Maximus.
Otherwise, I guess we just call you Maximus. But then that makes me think of checkers. Right enough. Okay.
So no, but he's polite.
I have nothing to do with Dallas. Fair enough.
I figured
okay.
it was pronunciation, but
Okay, so that'd be in rules clarification. Just
yeah, I think
you can no longer sack your own cards or go below 1 unit. Yeah.
We'll come back to that. That probably needs to be reworded, but
yeah, that's fine. You mean that's not how it's going to go in the official rule book? Okay.
Reinforcements needs rewording, reworking.
Oh, that card's just a mess. It's too many things going on. And
oh wow, I'm rereading it and just like this is a run-on sentence.
It really is. It probably should be maybe potentially even be 2 different cards, or actually no, actually
it could be a modal card. Meaning like
it could be one or the other. Like
like choose one. You may place units onto another player's cards, or move units from one hero onto another during this turn.
Yeah, because that was kind of the idea, I think. Or alternatively, you could just say like removes all unit allocation restrictions this turn, which would be a better wording for it. As is, or alternatively, a modal thing.
All unit restrictions now would also mean they can then sack the card, which is not a bad thing, but
yeah, because we don't have a spell for that right now. But
do we want to keep it as 1 card? Do we want to break it up?
I think for now, just removing all unit restriction. Well, I'm trying to decide if it was too powerful. Do we have any other notes on send reinforcements? Send reinforcements may be too powerful. Okay, so a modal card it is, or 2 separate cards. Because I kind of remember it being just like, oh, I can just move all my units to one thing and then just finish the game.
Okay, so let's reinforcements switch to modal to decrease power level, power, and simplify cards text. It also makes the rules a little bit simpler, just like, hey, you can do this or you can do that.
Yep.
Okay. Next.
Where are we?
Reword God of Harvest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So God of Harvest.
Lands. Oh.
So God of Harvest is either way too freaking powerful or not powerful enough, I think. So depending on how you word it. So gaining units on lands, you gain 1 additional unit. So with a plains, sure, it goes from 2 to 3. Cool. Great. With well, let's look at like a desert. Your heroes now gain +1 unit in unit phase. So does this mean heroes gain 2 units in unit phase? Or does it mean that your desert gains 1 unit along with your heroes?
I mean,
or along with your heroes gaining 1 unit. I personally wanted it originally to be heroes gain 2 units because I thought that was more interesting. However, it is so freaking powerful with deserts and tundras.
I definitely don't think
swamps.
that's what we intended with Harvest. I feel like
honestly, I think it was what I intended and not what you intended. So it ended up just being a mess.
You wanted it to increase the effects that add units from lands. I was just like, all lands now generate an extra unit. Value
Correct.
engine.
So I think that's why it kind of ended up poorly, but like the gaining more units I think is much more interesting, or like the increasing the value is more interesting, but the it's too powerful. It probably should be lands generate a unit or something. But that seems kind of boring, right? I don't know. It's still good. It could even be lands generate 2 units, but I think it's kind of an overall thing, like gods need rebalancing. Because I don't think they're all on par with each other anymore. Like God of Humanity is kind of weak.
Well, doesn't he? Does he do it? Doesn't he just generate 2 units?
2 units.
Yeah, that's
per
all
turn.
he does.
Correct.
Woof.
Yeah. Let's see. If moving too many units to one card is too powerful, you could make it costly. Put units on one card, like unit amount higher than 20 gains 50% efficiency. Yeah, you could do something like that. I could see that, like having less like costs on cards. We haven't done that yet, but it might be something worth considering.
I think it will as we start to explore more, because like I feel like as we start to create more custom decks for each of the play styles, like costs to doing stuff will be valuable. So like say God of Destruction, which is when a card is destroyed, you gain a unit. Adding ways to destroy cards, but then making them cost stuff starts to become an interesting balance to do.
Yep. We do have I think the only thing that we have like that is the Mage's Tower ? Yeah. If you can, if you're, you may discard the cards.
Which feels a little weak, but we'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right too. Dalamus Maximus. Dalamus Maximus. I don't know. I'm gonna keep.
Let's call him Maximus.
Maximus, sure. Making every card interesting is going to cause the game to be overly complicated. But when it's the core, like this is your leader for the game, definitely agree that we want those to be interesting, and some of these are just not.
Yeah.
Alright, so God of Harvest. Do we just make it lands gain 2 additional units? I feel like that's gonna be really strong, but I'm not opposed.
I say just make a separate note that says all gods need balancing around each other, and then we need to figure out how that actually is, because right now God of the Harvest only gains, or sorry, God of Humanity only gains 2 units per turn, compared to like God of War, who in theory gains 3 units every turn if you're attacking, which, you know, sounds like, you know, a fair trade-off until you look at the fact that like you have 5 heroes, and then which means you gain 15 units per turn, right?
Yeah, I'm just noting god effects need to be rebalanced against each other, so maybe that's just a separate item we'll get to after we go through the notes. Just let's just look at the gods and say like, okay, in like worst case, best case, and average scenarios, how much value are you getting out of each of these?
Yeah, God of Humanity used to be just better when the game was simpler.
Yeah, just generating 2 extra units a turn, that value was absolutely powerful over any of these more like specific effects, but then the specific effects we made strong enough that it's like, well, of course you're going to take, you know, whenever you attack, gain 3 units, because then you'll just go with like an attack strategy and just generate a ton of value versus like, oh, 2 units a turn. Yeah. Oh boy.
Indeed.
Okay.
Noted. All right, let's continue.
Cleric. Reword cleric? She badly worded?
It's just kind of confusing, I think. It's, what is it? It's, you immediately gain 2 units, and then you place those 2 units onto another card. I think some people just found that confusing.
Is it just the first effect then, not the activated one?
Correct, yeah. Well, I feel like if... Yeah, I think it's the just the first one. Honestly, I think something better could just be like
wouldn't it just be if you control another hero gain or place 2 units on any hero you control.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to go too much with like following the rules word like keyword text here, but like wouldn't it literally just boil down to if you control another hero, you can place 2 units onto any hero you control during your unit phase.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on. I think I had I think you could probably even get rid of if you control another hero. Like
I guess if you say place 2 units on another hero you control during your unit phase.
That's better, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna make that edit right now, actually.
Yeah, just do that, yeah.
Place 2 units on another hero you control during your unit phase.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna slightly change the number of units. If this hero has 5 more units on it, increase the number of units its effect places to 4. I just want to like be specific so that way it's not confusing.
Yeah, because some people thought it's like, oh, it increases all unit gain by 4? That's insane. Like, so that makes perfect sense. Although I think it was before we reworded it the first time, but not balancing, but all gods must be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
or not just bound. Yeah,
it's a fair point of like humanity's kind of boring right now because it's literally just a generator and that's it. It doesn't have a cool effect where all the other ones have effects. Like, sorry, we're tangenting to Magic again because it's the card game I play the most right now.
It's also the most popular one, so I think you're okay.
It's like the fact that in the commander format for Magic, like people stopped playing just basic vanilla. Like, here's a card that's a legendary dragon that has 5/5 and that's it. So like this card does these 15 different things now. Now granted, you could have an entire side discussion about Magic game design and Wizard of the Coast power creep, but we're not talking about that here. Okay, Cleric
place 2 units on any other hero you control. Is that what we said?
Place 2 units on another hero you control.
Yeah, that works.
I stole the phrasing from Magic. Magic uses the same concept of like using the phrase "another thing" to indicate you cannot do it with this creature.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
Next.
Old gods might need less lands and more monsters. Is that just like a deck review?
Yeah, I think we could probably just lower. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the same sort of point we were making up here. Which was it? Yeah, like this one. I think just maybe less lands, maybe.
I'm just adding as a note: review enemy card draw, a number of lands.
Because lands are just so powerful that like them showing up, like obviously there were other issues during the playtest that we witnessed in the game jam judging, but lands I don't think it negates the fact that lands are probably still too powerful, right? Like even though it was like there was other issues, lands need something done to them. So I'm so good I made a telepathic suggestion. Oh, it was 30 seconds behind. It didn't even notice. You're good.
All good.
Yeah, the for some reason YouTube's chat is delayed. I think it might be because I'm technically Twitch is my primary thing I'm doing in OBS and YouTube is my secondary. I might want to swap that around and see if that fixes it, but anyway.
I mean, how popular is Twitch nowadays anyway? I know it's very popular.
It's all about kick these days.
No, it's all about being a VTuber. You need a sexy anime girl as your avatar.
I was honestly thinking of making that little robot I drew. This guy, I was tempted to make him a VTuber model, honestly. I think it would be cute. That's just... See, if you're a guy, you can't be a sexy anime girl, so you have to be a
False.
Okay, that's true.
I've seen
You're right.
VTubers.
Okay, sorry. You can't.
You're
Sorry,
distracted.
that's not what I meant. You can't be a sexy anime man. There you go.
I've seen VTubers, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're distracted. Anyway, old gods might need. Oh, we already said that. Chips work better. Chips might work better. They definitely do. That's just a.
It's like if we ever had to go down like a what do you need to actually like make an actual product and package it? Definitely like multi-valued like chips. Like
chips are much
pens that you use to like.
Yeah, we tried with dice, but just like the number of like the problem that is that dice aren't like if you had a consecutive dice that like goes in consecutive order. Maybe, but the problem is you have to like search the dice for a value every time.
They do have those. So Magic uses them. They're called spin down dice, but also I feel like the chips is just a better visual indicator because you can quickly look at a pile of chips and be like, okay, I see like 3 of the color that indicates 5 units and like a bunch of 1s. So this one's at least 15, probably closer to 20. Like you can just estimate quickly without having to like check each number.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. Next one. God Destruction should be activated effect.
Yeah, I think that also. Well, this brings up 2 things. One is like I don't think there's any reason that shouldn't just be an activated effect, right? It's a conditional effect, right? The condition is met.
Technically, yes. That should half of these should be activated effects. Technically.
Also, other thing, I kind of don't like the term activated effects. I think conditional effect or something like that would be a better term for it.
Yeah. I'm gonna just change it to conditional. No, I shouldn't. I'm gonna note that down.
Yeah, please. Yeah, there's a lot
of these
everywhere.
cards use that.
Yeah.
Activated effect. Rename to conditional effect.
That might even be rules clarification potentially.
That's actually rules clarification.
Yeah.
But it also requires review all cards.
Yeah. Just rework the gods, make them interesting, simple, powerful. Gods you choose must. Yeah, it's a defining gameplay thing for sure. Agreed.
Yeah. I think this note is actually more just a rules clarity thing of like this particular god's effect is technically an activated effect, not just a thing that happens.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm gonna move them to the activated effect column for now.
Yeah. I mean, that just means we're just changing the. I guess
it's just where the text sits on the box.
Yeah, we're just changing that. Yeah, don't change it until. We'll have to change that later because I also have to go in Dexterous and swap that up because right now that would break all the cards if we change the title here.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm not changing. I won't change that and everything else. I'm just moving the actual text itself to activated effect, just so that way it's like, yeah, that's technically that effect is activated. It doesn't just happen.
Actually, something I want to do. Dexterous things. I want to do. Can I not do this in? Yeah, for some reason I can't do it in a smaller format. I just need to rename everything from Stack'ems to Armies Against Entropy, really. Just so things are more clear. Rename. Oh, you're gonna be faster, but name to AAE. Rename stuff. That's just back-end stuff, but that is something that would be better for
Yeah, this is literally just back-end. No one will actually see half that. I mean, technically people would see in the rules that we rename it to conditional effect. It doesn't actually change what it does.
Yeah, it does change the,
it changes how we generate cards, basically.
Yeah, literally the only thing it changes, I guess, is this and then like the tiny one-word sentence phrase I put in there. But anyway. Okay, what's next?
More issues with charm. We'll come back to it.
How does units work? That's Oh yeah, because that's in theory. So if it behaves like a, or if it's like a hero, that should fix the problems.
Yeah, if we slap
Yeah.
the band-aid on of it
Yeah.
turns the thing into a hero, but
Yeah.
there's swapping effects on army camp. Swapping effects.
Oh, there was something weird. Let's see, army camp. During unit phase, you may ignore unit restrictions if the hero
When you say swapping effects, do you mean like swapping the
base and the activator and the conditional effect? Partly because of bridge, I think is the reason. Because bridge doesn't do anything if the activated effect here is
because bridge would cause it to say, oh,
because bridge is if this specific card can attack twice on a turn, which doesn't do anything for bridge because bridge allows these effects to apply to other cards, but the other cards don't have this. Not all other cards are army camp, if that makes sense. So it gets kind of confusing. So maybe it's better to have like this card can attack twice as like just its passive effect, and then if you have 5 or more cards on it, you may ignore unit restrictions, which then would apply to all things if
all players.
All players, right?
Yeah,
just keep working. Do the keep mind charm rare. Keep working on band-aids for now. Yeah, for sure.
I'm only pausing just because I feel like that very much changes the value of the card.
Agreed. Yeah, attacking twice is very powerful. So maybe attacking twice could remove to something else, but like honestly, well, I guess it's basically like a. Well, honestly, I think it might even be something that should be moved to a hero. Honestly, it's so powerful as a.
You can attack twice.
Yeah. Well, once on your turn and once on any other player or ally's turns, but.
Oh, you mean the being able to attack on any turn?
Yeah. Because that's just like, that's such a powerful ability. Especially when we get to our 4-player playthrough, which, which meant you could attack 4 times a turn. So you just stack all your units specifically on that card, which was a cool concept. It also meant like if you didn't have any heroes, it was a good structure card to have. So I don't know. It's kind of like hard to say, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, I think swapping it doesn't really matter because, like, if you have less than 5 units on it, you're not going to attack multiple times in a turn anyway, right? Like, you can, I mean, yeah, maybe you'll kill, like, 2 endlings. But if you don't have more than 5...
It does make an interesting dynamic where right now you basically play army camp and use it as a way to move units around, and then eventually you stack enough things on it to allow it to attack. If you flip it, all of a sudden the value prop becomes very interesting because now you want to attack with it because it attacks multiple times, but that inherently prevents you from the free unit movement with the heroes. So like now there's a value of like, oh, do I stack it and like make it into, or let it activate the ability to move units around heroes, or do I keep attacking with it even though I will never then trigger its conditional ability?
Attacking multiple times matters more if you have more units on it. It's not a good balancing idea to limit the minimum amount of units. Yeah, I mean it just doesn't matter is really the biggest thing, because if you have a maximum of 5 units, like it doesn't you're not going to attack twice if you have 5 units. Really, is the biggest thing I feel like. But
so you want to suicide it for some reason.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a thought. I think flipping it might be. I mean, worst case, we flip it and it doesn't work, and then we just have to rework it again. Is kind of my thought.
Well, I've put it down in the notes of things to change. So
okay, cool.
Let's keep going.
Keep on going. This is taking a good while, huh? Lots of issues.
Well, these are when we start hitting the same ones. Like village probably shouldn't be able to be sacked for units. We already acknowledged
talked about that.
Yep. The thing.
Mage Tower.
Notes. Wait a minute.
Did we not put a note?
Oh, yeah, no, we're doing. Sorry, no, this is the rules clarification one.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Moving on.
Mage Tower probably have restrictions on when to sacrifice cards. Oh, I think this means like whether the card's in play or in your hand. So, which is just like a word, like, because right now it says, if you control a Mage Tower, you may discard a card to gain 2 units. But it could be a card, like, a lot of people were questioning whether it was a card in play or a card in your hand.
Interesting. Did not think of that. I always thought of discarding as something you do from your hand.
Yeah.
That's a valid clarification.
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, I mean, that's literally just one word. Discard a card. One card from your hand, or a few words. Yeah.
Done.
Cool. Monk round up instead of round down. I think that's simple also because I think the reason being is if you attack with 1 unit on you, you still stay alive if you round or
attacking with this hero, it only loses half as many units when it takes damage from the attack round down.
Wait, am I thinking that correctly now?
If you attack with 1, it loses 0. If you attack with 3, it would lose 1.
Right.
I mean, that makes it weaker.
What, changing its wording? Or...
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that was the thing, yeah.
If it rounds up, then right now if you attack with... It's not necessarily bad to be weaker, but if you attack with only 1 unit on it, it will lose half as many units if it's taking damage. Well, no, that doesn't matter. It's the damage. So if you attack an endling with it, it takes no damage.
Yeah.
Because an endling has 1 power, so it's rounded down. Ergo, you would take 0.5 damage, which rounds down to 0.
Right. So no matter what, you can't die to an endling. It's basically what that... which is fine. I think just rounding
if you round up, now he dies to an endling and takes 2 damage from any 3 power level card.
I think that's fair because like he's meant to be an end game, like a game ender. I've kind of like classified some of these in my brain that like some are meant to like end the game, where like a monk, elf, they're like built around finishing the game, whereas a lot of the other units like a warrior or something like that, they're meant to...
Yeah, I mean, he's,
start off the game.
If it's rounded up, it means he still dies to basic things if he's weak, but if he's strong, it's where the value comes in because you're avoiding a lot of damage. So I guess round up works.
Yeah. Let's see. Discard a card feels like from hand, but it's valid clarification. Yeah, just some people were confused by it, so you may as well just say it, right? Can't hurt. It's not like there's too much text on the card. And then let's see, rounding up. Lose for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is more punishing, but I think we're okay with that because it switches it from like.
Also, monk is like one of the strongest cards in the game, so they probably deserve a ever so slight nerf, which is hardly a nerf, but like, it's only a nerf when it comes to like endlings. Honestly, everything else it's like, eh. But.
Yeah, but still, being able to freely attack the weakest things in the game and not take damage is a little OP.
Yeah, and it's against their sort of their play style, right? Like
Yeah,
he
if
should
we
be
want to
meant
do
to end the
thing that you
game.
have tons of units on, then him being a good early game tank is not great
Yeah,
for that.
he's still probably even too strong potentially,
Probably,
but
but
I think it's okay. Okay, so did we switch that right away?
yeah, I did that.
Okay, cool. You're just on top of things, Kyle. Thank you for
Charm.
writing things.
Ignoring charm.
Yep. Bridge trading post interaction needs rewording to be allied trading post. Yes. So right now it just says which requires more words on bridge, which is
Oh boy.
Because it says if a card named trading post is in play, I think it probably should just say like if an allied trading post is in play. Because the problem right now is if you have a trading post, it means whenever your activated effects are triggered, you also get double the number of units from your trading post, which this is mostly supposed to help a support playstyle rather than.
Wait, hold on. If a card you control has a triggered activated effects, the effect also applies to your allies. What the fuck were we thinking when we wrote this?
Yeah, it needs rewording.
A card named Trading Post is in play. This card's effect now also apply it. Okay, so basically it's just Wait, what?
So the way it works is normally cards like I don't know, let's say library, right? You have a library and a bridge. If a structure is destroyed and you have a bridge, then your ally will also gain a card, right? You'll gain a card, your ally will gain a card, right? Because the activated effect is triggered.
This was us rushing through the end of the game jam and just trying to have like the most rulesy version of this rule, just to make it like okay, just read the card and eventually it'll make sense.
Right. So that's the that's what that does. The other thing is, so if you have a trading post in play, it then is supposed to allow for, I don't know, butcher, right? Butcher, if a card dies, like you gain units. Because those units don't make sense to just like, where would you place those units if the ally was gaining them, right? So if they have a trading post, then these units then go onto the trading post, is how that's supposed to work. I think the reason we did if a trading post or a card name trading post is because we didn't want any sort of confusion, but I don't know if it's honestly necessary now that I'm looking at it, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think it was also the fact that we didn't know yet if we're gonna have funky cards that like have the same name as other cards or have similar names or any of that. So like I was just being pedantic and saying, hey, this card needs to be named this.
Also, like, for someone not playing the game, it's if it says a trading post, you're like, wait, what is a trading post? Do I have a trading post? Like, it helps clarify that aspect, I think. But this I'm just gonna say just right, bridge needs rewording.
It needs rewrite. It doesn't actually have to change how it works. It just needs a rewrite.
And then just like
that's it. Like
rewriting, and then just what did I mention here?
Simplification.
What did I trade? Hold on, and then just like trading post for allies only.
Yeah.
Because right now it doesn't technically do
that.
That
is a nightmare.
Yeah. Maybe abilities to play cards on allied board. That's just a new card idea, I guess. Like, I don't know whether that's like a effect or a thing or a what, but could be cool. God of Harvest is OP. Already talked about that.
I'll be honest, Maximus, it mainly stems from me playing Magic a lot and those cards just being pedantic as fuck because everything in Magic needs to be pedantic to make the rules work properly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired. I have 6 hours to finish rewriting these rule effects.
And and Magic is like, yeah, you may as well fall on something you know rather than
trying to figure it out myself. And also we've had bad instances in the past. Granted, they were like years ago, but like when like we made games as kids and younger adults, where we'd like always have a bunch of cards that referred to other cards, and it becomes super confusing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to God of Harvest, just in general.
Yep. Lance Week, I've already talked about this as well.
That's Old God.
Yep.
Loser gaining and
oh yeah, Old God. Yeah.
What is?
So he was wanting a looser sort of
looser. Okay.
Did I say loser? Yeah, looser. Yeah, I spelled that wrong.
That makes
sense.
A
looser gaining and placing unit phase. So like a lot of time it can be confusing. Like you are moving units around. You're like, oh wait, I can do a more optimal play. You know, if I'm able, I guess even that might even include attacking phase. But I think that's just kind of up to how people want to play it. Almost.
Looser meaning like, oh, I realized I didn't want to put my units like this. Now that I'm about to attack, can I go back in time and like switch them around?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, maybe you moved all your units to like your heroes, and then you're like, oh, wait, if I put one more of these units from one hero to the other hero, I would have been able to kill this thing. So like, I think, yeah, looser in that sense where you like during that turn, right? You should be able to like move stuff around, but once stuff is like the turn is over, you're locked in, kind of.
I'm gonna disagree.
Yeah.
But only because I feel like the rules are the rules for a very specific reason of like you gain your units, you place your units, you go to combat.
Yeah.
Like you follow those phases.
Yeah.
If you are playing perfectly according to the rules, quote unquote, like competitively, like yes, if you make a mistake, you shouldn't be able to go back and fix it just because you didn't see the optimal play line.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like house rules, dude. If you realize that you messed up and you want to go back and everyone at the table is like, no, yeah, let's just let you like reallocate things. Yeah. Like it's wow, guess what? Kyle brings up Magic every 30 seconds. It's like when I'm playing with my friends and we're not playing really hardcore or sweaty and we're just like, oh fuck, I didn't want to play this card first. I actually wanted to play this card first and like tap my mana differently. Can I like go back and redo that? And everyone's like, yeah, you didn't. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's just a house rule thing. Yeah.
I also agree with Maximus of like, if you didn't gain any information, again, playing strictly by the rules, you made your move and you have to live with it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't gain any new information, that's usually fine for like house rules of like, no, you didn't learn anything new, go back and redo it. It's fine. Like we don't care. Versus like, again, when I'm playing with friends and they do something that lets them like draw 15 cards, then they go, wait, I didn't want to do that. I'm like, no, you have 15 more cards now. Like you now know what you would have gotten. You do not get to change that.
Right. Yeah.
But again, it's house and casual rules. I think the game should be as strict as it currently is, and if Seal and like Squish want to let him go back and reallocate things. House rule.
Yep, agreed. Makes sense to me.
House rules.
Woo.
Necromancer, Altar, and Warrior is powerful.
Yeah, that was something Seal was like, oh man, this is broken. And I'm like, it's kind of broken, but like it's a combo that I don't actually care about. I think it's a cool interaction because you just have an infinite supply of 5 units is essentially what it is.
Yeah, you'd swing with Barbarian, it gets 3 units.
Or sorry, did we say Sorry, no, warrior. So you swing with
Warrior.
warrior. So warrior has 5 units on
Warrior.
play. They die, and then you get to use your necromancer altar to bring them back next turn with 5 units again.
It's honestly not that broken.
It's not that broken, but it's
cool.
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool. I was like, he was just like overreacting about him. Like, I guess I got to write this down, but I thought it was cool for sure, but not, I don't think it's so broken that it's like, it's ruining the game.
Well, especially because like on a low level god, yeah, that would be pretty powerful. Noticing what happened with the high level ones where you had like, again, dozens of cards on the table.
Yeah. Not really a big deal.
One extra unit, one guaranteed hero a turn is not exactly that powerful.
Also, the requirements to get it working is enough that it doesn't matter to me.
But I do like Max's note of like worth noting player experience. Yeah, and this is actually a case where I think the player experience is more valuable than the balancing itself. Meaning, like,
yeah. Well, I think he was excited about it. It wasn't like, yeah.
It creates a great feeling in the player. So it's like, cool, I want to keep this. Yeah.
Yeah. Player just enjoy the combo that y'all probably play. Actually, we didn't plan for this specific combo. Yeah. But those are always the coolest combos, honestly.
We've balanced, but we balanced a lot of the stuff around it that it wasn't really OP. It just felt cool, which is good. We want people to feel cool.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, here's an unorthodox part. This is, so...
Library should have when you can play cards. Do we not?
I think... Hold on, let me double check what this says.
Library just lets you give cards.
I think that's what it meant, when you can give cards.
I mean, was it problematic to be able to give cards at any time? Because I feel like that's not...
I don't think so. I think it was just... didn't have that rule and people questioned it, so
at any time.
Done. Sometimes there's little ones that are easy to fix.
Raise an army. Need to tell you whether or not it can be played on an ally card. Raise an army.
I think that was just like an interesting. It's just gain 5 units on any card. I mean, we could just leave it as is. I just think that... Or we could just specify... I think it's cool if you can add units to your allies card, because that's more co-op interaction. But
I don't think it needs a tweak, actually, because I'm kind of fine leaving it. It's just gain 5 units on any card. Yeah. Any card.
Any card. Yeah. I think that was just like a clarification that was asked about, but I don't necessarily think... I think...
At worst, maybe you say gain 5 units on any card in play if people try to do something weird, like put a unit on a card in their hand.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think it's fine as is. I think just like... I think again... I think just the term any we use only a few times, and so... but actually, honestly, I think the way I played it is like, let's say like a shade, right? I think it says... See, like this says a card of your choice, right? Instead of any card.
Oh, does it say a card of your choice?
So maybe, well, on the shade, right? So gain 1 unit on on a card of your choice. So I think just making that terminology the same.
I'm gonna note that under... I don't know what to note that under. I'll put it in rules clarification, even though it isn't really. I'm gonna call it a term.
Choose one, right? Any or card of your choice.
Card of your choice. That's fair. Of like, we should try and keep the terminology consistent.
Yeah, I think that was the issue with it, is because there wasn't another instance of any card, right?
This is raise an army. Should we change it to card of your choice and just use that as our...
I
don't care which, to be honest.
I'm trying to decide if any or card of your choice sounds better.
Any card's shorter.
That's probably better, honestly. Just doing any.
Okay.
just because
Less text.
Yeah.
Card of your choice feels clear to me. That's fair.
It does. It feels, yeah, more clear and maybe. Yeah. No, I think he's actually right. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that's probably why I was questioning it, because the shade and stuff I didn't question. I was like, it's a card of your choice. It's any card you want, right? Like it's.
Yeah. Let's.
So that's fair. I think that's fair.
We'll just change everything to card of your choice.
Deal.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Do you have like a cutoff time at all?
Not really.
Okay.
At some point, Julie wants to go through all of my old computer parts boxes, so I need to be present for that. I need to make sure not to throw out my motherboard box, but
fair enough. Can you entertain chat for 2 seconds while I go pee?
I can attempt to entertain chat with.
I believe in you.
Zero visibility, and oh, he's gone. He's left. All right, chat. It's just you and me now. So we're gonna go and we're gonna change all sorts of things while he's gone, just to try and break it. When I say all sorts of things, I mean literally nothing, because you can't see anything of what I'm doing. Honestly, he said that, I'm looking at the notes right now, he said that the 4 players one was kind of wild, but none of these seem that over the top. Change every F into a V. Oh, Lord. I don't know how often we use words that start with that. Now I need to check that. F. There are 97 different elements of cards that use an F. Not 97 cards per se, just 97 different elements of cards.
Look who I found.
The way for it to appear on stream. Is it a kitty? It better be a kitty.
It's a kitten.
It's a kitty. She looks so ornery right now. She's got the biggest ear tufts.
Yeah, she's a little fluff. You little fluff. Luna. Indeed, it is the Luna.
See, I feel like you need to make a cat for your VTubing.
There you go. I was thinking of having a cat cam. I've got my extra webcam. I was thinking of putting it on her little like spot she's got where she lays down. She doesn't lay there all the time, but
you should do a cat cam.
I think it'd be cute.
While you were gone, we've decided to
flicking her.
Yeah. While you were gone, we decided to change all of the F's into V's within the card texts, and we'll see what happens.
I'm sure that won't break anything. Especially if you command replaced it with just like the entire Excel document, because that would break half the links for the cards.
Oh God, yeah.
Should make Luna a VTuber. Yeah, I should just like 3D scan her. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, four player stuff here. Yeah, actually, I actually did have my headphones, so I could hear you. I could hear all your shenanigans. But no, honestly, the 4-player thing was honestly surprisingly still balanced. Like, it didn't feel much different than a normal game, with the exception that like long turns kind of felt bad for like players who were behind.
Yeah,
because it just took a while. That's all.
I will say that's a problem with any multiplayer like card game like this. If someone has a long turn and you're literally like, I've had games of Magic where I go, it's turn 10 and I do play a land, pass.
Yeah.
My turn takes all 30 seconds and then someone else is spending like 15 minutes trying to figure out all of the math and stuff on their board, and I'm just like, cool, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
All right. Fortress should probably work with Bridge.
I think this is kind of a similar to the other thing. What's Fortress like? Searches 5 units on.
Why wouldn't it work?
Okay, so it works with the activated effect with Bridge, but not the normal effect with Bridge, depending on how you read it.
I would say it doesn't work with the base effective bridge because it's a gain units effect.
Yeah, I think that's how. But the thing is, the units that are being gained aren't on the card itself. They're on other cards. Because these units wouldn't go to the trading post. They would go to your heroes.
That's fair.
So I think that just has to be added to our bridge rework. Like, just consider Fortress.
Yeah. I don't want to change Fortress right now. Fortress feels fine.
Fortress is fun. Like I said, these gaining units when attacking is cool, but
I think it's just bridge is just a dumb card. Like, it's a cool concept for a card, but it's badly executed.
It's a good card. It's just very confusing, and a lot of things to like consider.
Teleport feels meh.
Yeah, there just wasn't a lot of situations where it was useful. I don't think necessarily it means like it even needs to be reworded or changed or anything, but I think the biggest thing, I guess, that could be changed with it is that maybe it should allow you to take allied cards if they agree to it. I think is the only thing that maybe should be changed. Like, with a player's consent, you can steal their cards. Because right now, it's like sending your stuff to someone else's thing doesn't always help, but sometimes it can help. I've seen it work. It's worked in a few instances, but I think having the option for both makes it a little more viable right now. It's very, very situational, I think, is the thing.
I mean,
especially,
do we make it more interesting and switch it from teleport to like a swap card? Swap any number of cards you control with any number of cards, an equal number of cards that another player or players control.
That's probably cooler.
Because then it allows a little bit more utility of like, okay, it does nerf it. It's not strictly speaking a more powerful card. It might be a more interesting card.
I think it may. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it nerfs it, because you can still take a allied card that you want rather than although the only reason I don't like that is because teleport's kind of nice for helping your ally when they're behind.
True, you give them lands or
so
whatever.
If you are forced to take cards from them when you teleport your stuff to their hand, I feel like that feels maybe bad. I don't mind like nerfing it if it makes it more interesting, I guess, right? Or more able to use more often, but right now it's just like there's not a lot of situations where you can use it.
For teleport, meaning?
Yeah, for teleport right now. It's not a lot of situations that it's useful to use, rather. Especially depending on your turn order. If you are second player, it's much less useful than being first player.
Maybe we're thinking about the wrong way though. Maybe players are thinking about the wrong way, which implies that there might need to be a level of context resetting. But
yeah,
was anyone considering to use this not on their turn? Because it can be played not on their turn. Meaning it can be played on someone else's turn. You could play it to give all of your heroes to another player and they could swing for double. You could use it to reallocate where the strongest heroes are to like avoid damage in a way from an incoming old god attack.
So that doesn't 100% help unless they have the same number of strongest heroes. Because
for the second one, fair, but for the first one of like, you could attack with your stuff and then give it to your friend, and they could attack with your stuff again, try and win the game.
Again, that's a turn order. That's a turn order thing though, because if you're player 2, it sucks. If you're player 1, it's that's why I think just adding like the ability to take cards might also be.
I feel like it needs to be modal then. It's either you give cards or you take cards. It's
I agree. Yes, okay. Yes.
I thought you were saying you should both give and take any number of cards. I'm like,
no, that's insane. Yeah, you're right. Yes. No, yeah, I didn't actually consider that when I was saying it, but yes, you're definitely correct. It needs to be modal.
I could see it working modal then, because it's like I can give you cards or you can give me cards.
Yeah, and of course the other player has to agree.
Well, I would say we could write the text of like, move any number of cards you control in play from your play space to one of your allies, or the second option being your ally, a chosen ally may move any number of cards they control from their play space to your play space. So it still leaves it on that player to be able to.
It's a one-way teleporter.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see this working as a modal card. Teleport.
Also thought a give and take the same. Yeah, I think it should be one or the other, 100%.
Other player to choose any number of cards to give to you.
Cool. Maybe a player can play the card at any point. Yes, all spells you can play at any time.
Yes. You can play it at any time, which is part of why I was asking the question of like, are people just not thinking of using it?
No, it's just like I said, the turn order just gets weird because if you're second, like you can send it to your first player, but the god's still gonna attack. So it's really only useful if you're in.
But now adding the ability to say, oh well, then I choose the one where that player can give me their stuff. That makes it interesting. Okay.
Agreed.
Next. Cognitive enhancement may be too powerful.
Yeah. It's very it's a great card. I think there needs to be at least some limit. I don't think you can play every card in your hand.
Starting with that on turn 1 is kind of broken.
Or if you have God of Magic and you've accumulated like 12 cards and then you just play that and then it we'll go to cognitive enhancement again. I think there needs to be a limit, and there also needs to be a wording that you can't play you still have to play those cards during play phase because it doesn't actually specify.
Ew. That's fair.
Because it's at any point it says you may play any number of cards.
This turn, which doesn't necessarily specify.
This turn technically means every player's turn in technicality, right? I think. Which is actually, I think, a clarification thing we needed on Mage Shield. Because does the rest of the turn mean your turn? Does it mean... Well, I guess it means the whole round. Maybe round is a better word to use than turn. So...
Yeah, I'll throw that down under term changes. Actually, at this point, I just need to make a separate category for term changes. Term changes. Oops. Any card versus card of your choice.
Like after the... Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe consider... Maybe it costs something to play more than X cards. Like the number of card limit, you must discard one.
I was thinking, like, I wonder... if you discard a card for playing another card kind of thing.
This is like meant to be a catch-up card. Like if you're behind, I think is kind of the idea of it. But it kind of just ends up being like... the cool thing is it used to be like you draw 3 cards and then I think you just draw 3 cards. That was it. But there was never a reason not to play it. Now there's situationally reasons to not play it, but the problem is like you still
It's a dump
Like
your
if you
hand.
have a hand, but you still have, if you have a handful of structures, it's still worthless, right? So you don't always get to play it. Which is maybe another issue about structures having to be on lands, but
I'm gonna let you think about this one for a second. I need to go get more coffee.
deal. Well, even if you're behind, it's still powerful. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. It's good in most aspects. It's just the like you can play any number of cards you want on this turn. Is just like it's game winning, really. It's just so powerful. It's not like it's necessarily that bad, but it just if we're trying to balance the game, it just kind of ruins game balance. So I think, yeah, like I want it to be good for catching up, but not really necessarily good for if you're already doing well. Needs a cost, in my opinion. Yeah. But the problem is if it has a cost, then it's not good. It's not good for catching up, right? Because if you're behind, you don't have a lot of resources. But if you're ahead, the cost doesn't matter as much, right? If it's a catch-up card, you maybe get help from other players for playing it. I suppose, but it's, you know, if you and your ally are both losing, then it's still kind of not great. Also, I'm trying to think. Card draw. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what... I mean, I guess, honestly, like, limiting... Like, the cost could honestly be, like, if you have more than 6 cards in play, you don't get to play any number of cards. I think that's probably maybe the way to do it. Just have, like, a limit. If you have a certain number of cards, it doesn't work anymore. Or, like, if maybe you can equal your number of cards to the amount of cards the monster has or something like that. Like play 12 cards minus card in play. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think a restriction is maybe the thing rather than a cost. I think that's probably the way to go about it.
I've returned.
We've discussed. And we think
you see some discussion.
We think a restriction is probably better than a cost. So, like, if you have X number of cards on the board, you can only draw, you know, or you can only draw, like, what he said here is, you know, the numbers would have to be tweaked, but play 12 cards minus the cards you have in play. So, like, I think that's probably too many cards, but, like, play... Or honestly, even just, like, lowering it to, like, 3 cards. Just giving a limit instead of just any number.
I kind of want to just give it a hard limit instead of a based around how many cards you have in play, because I don't want it to be completely useless.
Yeah.
Not completely useless, but, like, if you have a big board state, yes, it shouldn't be nearly as helpful for you, but drawing one card for a spell still just feels meh.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, you could... I think if you did it, like, if you wanted it to be, like, really powerful, you could have, like, draw up to... Yeah, I guess because if it was, like, draw up to 6 cards... if you have... I'm trying to think how you do. Play 6 cards minus the cards you have in play. Let's say it was that. I'm just trying to think it through if that's...
Oh, God.
If that's better than having... Not draw 6 cards, sorry, play 6 cards, up to 6 cards.
His next recommendation is Buck Wild.
Play as many cards as the difference of your cards between the player and the old god. That's too much. Too many.
In certain situations, that's like play 20 cards.
Right,
which you don't probably have, but...
Also, it's just too much thinking, honestly. I don't want to have to do any dividing. Or whatever. Subtraction. Yeah, I said difference. Yeah, difference is, yeah. Brains. Brain work, no good. Honestly, I'd probably rather just... Like, thinking about it... Because I almost think, yeah, just play like 3 cards might just be the...
Maybe we just hard limit it with like a number of cards, and then if that still doesn't feel good enough, we start to go down the route that Maximus was kind of suggesting of like a certain number of cards or something like that. Just to
play 6 cards minus the cards you have in play, I think would be the second best bet. But because I want it to be like useful in multiple situations and not necessarily just as a catch-up, but I think its primary objective should be as a catch-up mechanic. I don't want it just sitting in your hand doing nothing, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm going to say 2 additional cards this turn, so you can play a total of 3 cards that turn.
Well, you can play 1 of each type of cards per turn, normally, so...
Oh, so I guess 3 cards would be like, okay, you can play...
1 of each, an additional of each type of card, essentially.
Or 3 of 1 if you really need it.
Yeah, I think that would, yeah, okay. I agree.
I'm going to do that for now. Again, I'm not 100% sure this will solve it, but it will at least be a step in the right direction, and we can see how it plays.
Yeah, too complex, I guess. Yeah, we're trying, this game we try to make pretty simple, with the exception of Bridge.
Bridge is a mistake. Not a mistake. The card concept is still good. It's just the card itself is terribly written.
Okay. Let's see here. What else can we do? What does that even mean?
Libraries drawing activities.
That must have been something I wrote in a hurry. What does that mean? I think
that's similar to the other note that we had, that was the library was confusing. Or library should have when you can play cards.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. Or was I thinking like spells? That's totally fine. I think there may have been like, if I'm trying to remember back, like I'm wondering if it just meant like immediately, like, because like if you have a library and your card dies and you draw a spell, I remember that being a situation. Can you use that? I guess you should just be able to use that spell right away, right? It happens immediately, right? I think anytime any activated effect happens, it happens immediately, right? That should be, that should
yes. And so like the way that would resolve would be like if you play library and something gets destroyed, you draw a card immediately as it's being destroyed. Then if it's a spell, you can play that spell immediately as well. It doesn't stop whatever the structure is from being destroyed. It's already been destroyed. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to draw the card.
I'm just going to put here just happens immediately, just in rules clarification, just in case that's what I was talking about. I don't know.
Yeah. I am...
Can't type.
If at all possible, I am trying to avoid us having to do a magic stack, because that is not a simple concept.
What is that? Sorry.
So there's a bunch of cards in Magic that can only be played at what's called sorcery speed, meaning on your turn during your main turn.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's
then
like
there's instant effects, or things that can be played at instant speed, and now you create a stack of cards of like effects and things that are happening, and you have to resolve it in a very specific order.
I remember now. Yeah, it's like
another card in the stack. And it
revolves in the okay, yeah.
It's super fun. I love it. It's a great card concept because it makes really interesting moments, but it is so complicated.
Yeah, not what we're looking for. Drawing Tuesdays
at the library. It's a joke about libraries and drawing.
Yes. There you go. We had a lot of jokes about the library card. Like, wait, do you need your library card to get cards from someone else, or do you need a library card to get cards from? It was just like a library card
yes.
joke. Anyway,
not support player. Necromancer also need clarifying with allied cards.
Yeah, that's just.
Oh, it doesn't specify.
Yeah, the structure has 5 units. Hero cards. It just says in general. It should be like your hero cards is really what it should say. I think that's just all it needs, right?
Sure. I think it's fine.
I think that's, yeah.
I don't think Necromancer actually needs to be changed at this point. If the card Necromancer alters in play, this hero returns to your hand when it dies. When a monster or hero is destroyed, gain 1 unit. And that's intended to be everything.
Yep. Okay, that's it then. Okay, yeah, it just needs to say your, because then one, it works on its own, and then, or like it doesn't have allies returning cards to their hand, and then it still works if you use bridge to gain its effect on your allies. So it makes cards more interesting.
That is both of these.
Cool. Cleric can give
units to allies. Didn't we already touch on this one?
We didn't clarify whether it can give it to an ally. We talked about cleric.
No, because it says place 2 units on another hero you control.
Okay, so now it's you control, so that clarifies it.
Yeah, because we changed that wording, so that one's fine.
Yeah.
Oh look, send reinforcements comes up again.
Send reinforcements is too powerful. We fixed it.
Modal. You'll be able to kill your own cards for units.
This was what we were talking about, the rule where you sacking cards. Yeah.
I like that there's some common themes across play sessions that we were able to tackle in like the first couple.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does make Mage's Tower less good because you can't sack your cards in your hand. You may as well just sack your cards after you play them. So it's like, anyway, God and Humanity needs more powerful. We talked about gods needing revisions to each other, so we're good there.
We will do that after we resolve most of the notes. Spell Shield, need clarification of what turn means. I think we talked about this when we said this turn, we need to specify whether it's the current turn or the round or what the right word is.
That's exactly, yeah. It's same thing with cognitive enhancement. It just needs to, and really it doesn't matter per se, because like you're only getting attacked at one point. Although it's like, does it count for when you attack and defend, right? So
yeah, that's the thing. Which I think we need to talk about later, because I was about to say I think I had a thing on it, but now I don't. Hold on.
Give me half a second here.
How dare.
Okay. What's next?
World Ender worded wrong. Oh, that's a monster card.
Let me see. What did that mean?
If this card would attack, it instead destroys the card owned by a player with the most units. And its defeated effect, destroy any card controlled by the old god.
I honestly don't know what that was about.
Is it...
What playtest was this?
You and Checkers.
Oh, is it It's or something? Or, wait, no, it doesn't say It's.
It instead destroys the card owned by a player with the most units.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Maximus is the only point I could think of, which is it's a little confusing on whether it means the player with the most units loses a card or the card with the most units on it. But it instead destroys the card.
Yes, that was it. That was the confusion. You're right. That was it.
That's got to be what it is.
That's what it was. Yeah.
I think we intended it to be the card with the most units.
Yeah.
I think that's what the intent was, right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Honestly, I think you can just say that, the card with the most units rather than the player with the most units. Yeah, that was the confusion. That was it. Because now that you say it, it clicks instantly. Yeah, because me and Checkers were playing, and we were like, how does this work?
Yeah, I don't think we need to say player controlled because you can't really put units on anything
that isn't controlled.
else.
Yeah.
I mean, well, technically you can, but that's actually a really cool combo. If you were to like play raise an army, put 5 units onto an enemy, and in the weird situation where that was the most units on a card, World Ender would destroy the monster card, which honestly is such a weird combination of events that I'm fine leaving that.
Yeah.
When are you going to have less than 5 units on a card and World Enders destroying things, and you have Raise an Army, and there's another thing that you could cast it on, another monster you could cast on? Like, such a series of events needed to happen that I want to leave it because that's such a cool... If that happens, the amount of, wait, I can solve this
yeah,
how player feels is just worth it.
Oh, no, I think that's cool. Also, might be worth mentioning it can't kill gods.
Yeah.
Unless the god is the last card in play.
That's fair.
But honestly, World Ender is also... I think that we might have to touch on him anyway in our monster when we look at monsters as a whole, because he is, not only does he have 10 health, but he instantly destroys cards. Like, there is only one in the deck, sure, but if you draw it immediately, it's just like it's over. So there could potentially, I've been considering, I think I probably wrote it in here somewhere, but a requirement where he can't be drawn unless the players have a certain number of cards or something.
I'm just putting him down as another card that we need to review.
Yep. So...
let's not worry about the old god piece yet. I'll just acknowledge it as a thing on the notes. Or not old god, your gods, the human gods.
Oh. Wait, what? What are we talking about?
You also were mentioning, we might need to change the text to indicate whether it can kill...
yeah.
Kill a god,
yeah.
but at this point, I'd say...
We've
clarified it so that the card as it exists today works. That would be a more of a revision.
Yeah. And I mean, and mostly, for the most part, as rules are, nothing can attack your god before all your other cards are dead. So I think that's relatively obvious.
Okay.
Okay. Abyssal Horde's just confusing. That's, again, just a whole... Just confusing. we'll have to look at them.
What's Abyssal Horde do? Oh, it's the stupid gain units one.
Yeah. It's confusing with that. It's confusing in conjunction with Charm, because Charm can charm a level 3 creature, but if it has units on it, does that mean you can still charm it because it has units, or does it only count the power level? Because
basically, it's a terrible card.
It sucks. I hate it. It's a cool concept. It's interesting. I don't know. It might just be something we have to nix completely or just redo.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it needs full review.
Agreed.
All right, moving on. PTS bags should start with 1 unit and not 0.
That was something I already fixed. So, basically in Tabletop Simulator, the bags of units had.
Oh, this is
started. Yeah, not text to speech. This would be super cool if you manage to pull it off. You lose. Okay, yeah.
The combo.
Yeah,
I was talking about, oh my god, in this perfect situation, I can play this and cause it to destroy something else and not us.
I mean, there has been some cool situations like that have popped up where it's just like something that's like such a hard thing to pull off, but it like was a really cool combo. Like honestly, even just getting a bridge and a trading post is difficult, and when it does, you're like, oh, that's sick.
Growth should consider saying something about the start of turn.
I think one of the players tried to use growth.
A weird moment.
Yeah, like on the enemy's turn or something. Although, that's not really necessarily bad. I just don't know what it means.
I'm just gonna call it. It might need a rewrite, not necessarily changing of the ability of the card.
Yeah,
the card's a little. It reads a little weird.
Yeah, because I think the weird thing was like, I can't remember what was in play. I think Mage existed. Oh wait, no, because you can't play the card right away. It's not like it resets your turn.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. It's probably fine as is. I think it was just maybe a slight weirdity in the.
I say rewrite for clarity. Review with conditional effects for any confusion. Like we should just go through each conditional effect on cards and then be like, okay, like does this make sense with growth? Okay, does this one make sense with growth? Just really quick. It doesn't need to be like major.
Agreed.
Okay.
Wrong thing.
Report might be weak. We've already looked at that one.
We fixed that. Yay.
World Ender maybe has a requirement. World Ender is going to be looked at.
Yep.
All right.
This was wild.
Scorched Earth played twice with Void Rift. Oh no.
So what happened was, so yeah, this was kind of a wild combo. Void Rift. Where's Void Rift?
How would I think?
So Void Rift, when you kill a Void Rift, where the heck is Void Rift?
Void. Return any card from your disc. Oh, did he bolt?
Yeah, so I think I did this. Void Rift allows you to. Why can't I?
You scorched earth it, returned. You scorched earth it, returned it to your hand, and then scorched.
And then played it again. Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's.
I think that's
fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Like.
It was like kind of like a moment where I was like, should this work? But I think it's probably fine, right? I
mean, the only situation that it would be dumb is if there's multiple Void Rifts and you're just like
one of each structure.
Scorched Earth, Void Rift, Scorched Earth, Void Rift, Scorched Earth. But like, it's still kind of cool.
And there's only one of each structure in the enemy deck, so. Which probably should maybe be changed. I don't know yet, but
maybe be changed. But even then, like even if the old god had multiple Void Rifts and you just scorched earth all of them in a row, that's still kind of cool.
Indeed. Yeah, so I think that's fine. That was just something to consider whether it was a problem or not.
I think it's cool for now.
Yeah.
Evil gods have even higher health and all heroes can attack.
Oh, this was just an idea from my cousin. He was saying, like, what if you just had it? It's too confusing, honestly, in my opinion. But I was just like, I'll just write it down. He was basically saying, like, to attack the old god, he has, like, a ton of health, and you can just make all heroes attack at the same time. But that's, I feel like, changing too many things to...
As in, like, all players can just attack the old god at once?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah.
Without having to, like, clear out the board?
I don't know. That was as far as he went. I think he meant like
once you clear out the board, you just attack the old god as like a giant group.
A group, yeah. I think that's what he meant, but
I think I see the moment he's going for of like all the heroes banding together kind of thing, but adds another phase of the game where it's like, well, in this particular situation, now the rules work this way, and I'm not a huge
That's
fan
kind
of
of
that.
thing. Yeah, the thematics of it are cool, but the
It'd be a cool card, like, hey, during your turn, all heroes can attack or something.
yeah. I could see, honestly, it would work better if it was you didn't have to destroy every other card, I think.
Yeah.
Cuz that would prevent the that actually could be worth considering. Like, say you give the old god 50 health or whatever, and you're getting overrun. We have one of those situations where there's 1,000 bad guys. If
Although
you
like,
have enough units, you can still attack the old god with all your heroes.
those sound like good cards to consider
Yeah.
adding though. Like a
Yeah.
card that's like you can ignore
Yeah.
for this turn, blah 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 blah. You can ignore, yeah, like Maximus is saying as well.
Yeah.
Like cards that let you just do something, break the rules. Those are interesting, but I wouldn't want to make a rule specifically for the situation.
Like a spell or something that allows you to use all heroes to attack the old god. Maybe not a spell, but maybe like a structure or something.
I'm just saying a card that allows you to attack with all heroes. And card that lets you attack something directly. I don't know what that means beyond just like, I don't want to necessarily limit it to just the old god. And attacking the old god directly might be overpowered if you don't have some kind of trade-off for it, because like you could just nuke it, but worth considering.
Sorry, that's wild. Sorry, I was texting my mom just because she was planning on coming over at some point, and she just said there was a bear at my brother's house in the front yard.
Interesting. Like a black bear?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's wild.
Didn't we? Yeah, we already worked on cognitive enhancement, so that one's maybe not solved, but dealt with for now.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So all right, those are cards. Okay, cool. Sorry, just trying to regain my bearings there. Okay, putting cards into play.
Feed effect should probably go together. You can use it. Wait, what?
Okay, so here's the situation. Let's say, so this is again the game that was going on forever. The problem is we had let's I don't know, where's a I don't know. Yeah, sure. Let's say Chaos Keep, right? You kill a thing, you just play a hero again. The problem is when you place the hero, they have no units, right? So a lot of the time they would just end up instantly getting killed because you can't allocate units onto them because it's already your attack phase. So the concept there was that you could either instantly play them if you wanted to, or put them in your hand if you'd prefer it. That was the idea, at least. Does that make sense?
I feel like that kind of works with what we're doing with most of the reveal cards from your deck effects.
Right.
It's reveal cards from your deck. Either you can play it. Well, in most cases, you can play it or put it into your hand. Actually, no, that's wrong. It's literally just spells. Never mind. I mean, maybe we just make it so all of these effects are play it or put it into your hand.
I think that feels better because then there's potentially situations it just doesn't work out very well.
So I think that's a term change then.
Yeah. Maybe it sacrifices the card, attacks.
That's in reference for like the cards that let you attack with all heroes or attack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but if you kill the old god, then it doesn't matter. It's over, right? So.
Okay. That'll be a full review. Oh, this is just a general note of like,
yeah,
monsters are always a priority. Not really being able to draw cards as a player, I'm guessing.
yeah. Or wait, the game of every hand probably should be more reasons between lands and monsters, right? Lands are pretty much always a priority, right? We did get another Mux. You have to try to draw more cards for the player, right? Because when you kill them, you get to draw a card. So that was the only time we really tried to target monsters, is when we were getting more cards.
So card draw is a problem, basically.
Yeah, it kind of always has been. I feel like, in a sense, probably still need more card draw in the game. Yeah, I guess we just said that. Yeah. Which I think we could add, like, even just by changing some stuff, like library probably should be like maybe even lands and structures.
Yeah,
like, that would be easy change, because right now it's like either your structure has to die or one of the like 6 structures in the enemy deck, which means you're only getting 6 card draws out of it or whatever it is, right? Because there's not a lot of enemy card land. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 whatever. Yeah, 7.
Yeah,
enemy.
that's not super.
Yeah. So
I'm going to. I wasn't sure how to leave it as notes for this. I guess just
maybe under card revision.
Just review players available card draw.
Yeah. Another thing we never really considered also is just allowing the player to have more cards from the start. I don't know if that actually helps, but it could
right now
be
with 5 cards.
5, yeah.
It could bump it to like 6 or 7. Most games Magic does 7. I was gonna say most games I play now is a relative term. Although I think Hearthstone did 6.
Yeah, because well, so technically as ours is you start with 5 cards and you draw one on your start of your turn. So effectively you start with 6, but yeah. But it could be worth having more because the biggest problem right now, or like one of the big problems too, is starting hand. A lot of time you'll have a deficit of something, right? And with 5 cards, so there's 3 types of cards. With only drawing, 6 cards, there's a chance that you get only structures, which is just always bad. Well, I guess there's spells too, but more cards at the start helps with setup, and also just buffing library may not help with card draw amounts overall that much. Probably not, but it's like it's a start,
It's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, library isn't that common, that whatever, but it makes it more useful and makes card draw more of a thing. Okay, so the question here is, do you want to take action on any of these things? I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how busy you are or how much you want to work on, but
we can start and see how long I go.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. All right, what I think I can make this just full screen now. Although we're probably going to be... Actually, no, I can't, because we're probably going to be looking at this Google Doc, or this sheet, along with these notes. Yeah, what do we start with? I'm
going to say term changes can wait, because those are...
That's all rulebook stuff.
Rulebook, or literally just going down the list of cards and being like, oh, here's this phrase, I need to change it.
Either of us can just go into the thing and do that at any point.
I'm hesitant to add new cards until we do the card revisions, because the new cards are like,
that's pretty
add
huge,
additional factors or axes that we have to think about.
Agreed.
Why don't we jump in and take a look at Abyssal Horde and World Ender, because we just know those need to be modified. We don't really know what they need. Everything else we have like some idea of how we want to limit it or change it.
Yeah.
Like these two are like literally this is just a mess.
Right. Okay, yeah, we'll just do this. We'll go full screen with this. Abyssal Horde. Or World, which one first? Abyssal Horde's the worst, so let's go with them first.
Yeah.
When this monster deals damage, they gain units equal to the number of units lost by the card they attack.
No, this can't be the effect. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it.
They just can't gain units at all, I think.
Gaining units makes this so complicated.
Yep.
They're the only monster that gains units.
Yep. I agree. It's kind of like the whole brainwashing ability that we had, where it was they took over a card.
Yeah.
And it just raised too many questions. So, yeah, I think the thing to do then is just change it completely. We could try to keep it like sort of same theme, maybe in some sort of sense, but
the thing is basically that it'll keep growing in size as it survives, and then when you kill it, you should get a bunch of rewards based on how strong it was.
Yeah. Also, its defeated effect is extremely weak based on the effect that it how strong the card is. Right, because it keeps gaining in power, and then you only kind of just get like a portion of that back after you kill it. It's kind of like a rebate. It is superbly powerful. Also breaks player momentum, pushes dying further. Yeah. Honestly, playtesting, we can't deal.
I don't remember. I don't know about any of your playtestings with Abyssal Horde beats, but when we playtested it, this one never actually was that bad. It was just confusing.
I think we usually killed it before it was a problem. Just because it starts so low. Usually, what ended up happening, it appeared, it attacked once, it became a 6, and then it died.
We focused it. Yeah,
is usually what happened. I don't mind it being scary like that. I don't even mind this being like a more powerful monster necessarily, although I don't think we necessarily need it to be a powerful monster. I think it just it definitely needs something new. I don't think I necessarily want to do card draw per se. So I was thinking like, oh, it could like when it defeats a hero, it draws a card or something, which is that would be stupidly powerful. We did have that at one point actually. Lilith, when we had her as a god, quote unquote, it was whenever they killed a hero, they got to draw a card, which was insanely powerful.
Yeah, because you lose a lot of heroes.
Yeah, so
that's not a great idea. I like the idea of it being an increasing threat. I just don't know how to do that.
I don't like increasing its power level because power level means
okay, math.
And then like it gets confusing with like how it just like you have to keep track of that somehow, and I don't really like that. What about this? Well, I was thinking like what if we lower it to like a power level of 1 or something, and whenever it kills a card, it duplicates itself. But that doesn't really work well for a physical game. But it might not be the worst thing ever.
Thinking in that direction. I wasn't even thinking of lowering its power level too much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not necessarily.
But of like, it can be a horde by increasing the number of them.
I know we tried to remove most things where it's like gaining like power level. No, we don't really want. Yeah, that's a problem. We can't really gain power level. That's the scary part.
I mean, we could
Or not scary part. Sorry, go ahead.
do something in similar but inverse to the Nethermuck, where the Nethermuck is, hey, after it's destroyed, return it, but it has half the power level. It has power level of 2. Say like,
If it dies, it comes back stronger.
I was gonna say Abyssal Horde, like the first time it deals damage, its power level is increased to 6. The second time it deals damage, its power level is increased to 9, just as like literal text on the card.
Right.
Because then it still has that kind of growing, like, oh god, it's getting bigger and bigger every time it attacks.
What if it duplicates self attack, but if the original dies, they all die?
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. But I mean, that's effectively the same thing, isn't it?
It
well,
is.
It has more action economy that way. That's the biggest thing.
I mean, you could solve the physicality problem simply by using, like, some token cards. Just cards that you have on the side that are like, hey, this card represents whatever you need it to represent. It's like in a physical sense.
What if we do... What if we remove this idea completely? What if we because I've been thinking about this for a card. What if it just attacks twice? It still feels horde-ish. And it's interesting because we don't have that on anything.
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that? I was reading
Sorry.
Facebook.
What if it just attacks twice? Which is not with the fantasy that it gets powerful over time, but it is still interesting, I think. It doesn't get tankier, it also just removes its units problem. Yeah, but then you have to keep track of which one's the original and which isn't. That's my only worry. I mean, I guess, yeah, you could have like a minion card.
Sorry, go ahead.
We probably will have to add some sort of like more mechanics to the monsters, I think. Like what's the a token, right? The magic term. Yeah, like you could have endlings be a quote unquote token and they have their own separate deck where it's like
I'm wondering if we want to just introduce the concept of tokens now so that way we can not have to figure it out later.
Yeah,
it's like Abyssal Horde thematically sounds like you want to make a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, tokens fix a lot of problems.
So yeah, I mean, like, you literally just make an endling a token, right? It draws endlings. And then you just have to make endlings a separate deck, and then... I mean, potentially that changes our balance too. Like you could have the old god, like the easiest god, it draws 2 cards plus an endling per turn.
I kind of like where this is going though. I feel like we'd want to rename the card as well and maybe have it be like Abyssal Horde Master, Horde Lord. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like the leader of the Horde.
Yeah. And then we could just like, we can change. But that's the idea though. I think it could be good because then you give it a little more options because you can keep the game balanced by drawing more endlings, and endlings are just kind of cannon fodder. Whereas some of these other cards are just so much more powerful. Which kind of brings us back to our other thing we were talking about here, which is just reworking the monsters just almost like a total rework.
I'm opposed to endlings being like a token deck set of cards, and then the shades are like the weakest first monster that actually also have a defeated effect. Because it also feels kind of bad that endlings are like the most common card in the deck and they give you nothing.
Abyssal Taskmaster. That's cool. I like that. Yeah. I think that might fix balance a lot because right now, like, you're guaranteed, or like anything that can be drawn can be just so random, and then having consistency of endlings probably makes that a little bit better. And then it also gives us more stuff to play with, like maybe like Chaos Worm rather than the Old God draws a card, which is just so freaking like you almost don't want to kill a Chaos Worm right now, right? And it's a 3, right?
Yeah,
like
you're kind of better off just like
you're almost better off just waiting until you can like deal with 2 cards, because killing it, you kill it and it draws a land, and you're like, oh well, now it gets to draw another card next turn. So instead, maybe it draws like 2 endlings when it dies, or 3 endlings even. But that's at least something you can deal with, right? It's a major decision, but just conceptually it sounds like a good idea, because then it's something more comparable to them having units, because like right now the most comparable thing to units the monster deck has, or I guess the evil deck we should probably call it, is drawing cards, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a 1-for-1 comparison.
This opens up another pathway of like just throwing out endling tokens effectively.
Yeah, it also means like, I don't know, a wasteland can like, or a blighted marsh or whatever can just draw endlings instead of.
They don't have to all draw cards.
Yeah. Like you could have one, like, because I've been thinking about this too. It's like you maybe could have like I don't know, let's just say like a forest draws 2 cards and has like 5 health, right? Or and then you can have like a volcano draws 3 endlings but has, 5 health, or draws 1 endling and has 20 health, something like that, right? It gives us a little more. Token deck sounds like a great idea. Fixes a bunch of issues and lets you have much more room for creativity with things you can keep track of in the future. Yeah, I think it might be the way to go.
If we do it, all right. I'm gonna start an actual like notes section, because the first section is just like the to-dos list.
Basically, this just makes it so everything in our deck almost needs to be reworked. Everything in the monster deck needs to be reworked.
A little bit.
Almost. But I think it does make the game better in theory. Because the endlings was always there to help just take up action economy, so you can't just blow everything up turn 1 or
yeah.
All right, I drank this whole thing, so I need to go to the bathroom again, but I'll be right back. Okay, then. All right. Okay. So where do we start?
Well, first it's taking the endling and making it a new card type.
Right.
It's now a token.
Trying to think what we want to call it.
I'm calling it token for now.
Yeah, oh, for sure, but trying to decide if I want a more thematic name for it. It could almost just be Endling, but Minion maybe might be fun.
Minion.
Yeah.
Minion. Fodder. I like the path you're going down, Maximus, but I do like Minion better.
Yeah. One thing I think I'm gonna do separately to all this is I might change all the attack rules to icons. Do you think that's a good idea, or do we like text?
If you can come up with icons that would it just be like weakest, strongest, heroes, structures, lands?
Yeah. Like, yeah, so you would just have like an icon for weakest, which would, I don't know exactly what that would be. Maybe just like a down arrow and then like a
icon, icon for like strongest versus weakest, and then an icon in the order of what they attack.
Correct, yes.
And like what they don't attack. Yeah, I think changing them to icons will save a bit of card space.
Yeah, and look maybe a little bit cleaner. Kind of look like the gems that we have right now. So, oops.
I'd be down with that.
Just gonna put a. Oh, you made this. Like came in on a document. And you had like the headings and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what's what is all this? I'm like, oh, right, here we go.
I'm just trying to like actually start taking notes on what we're doing.
Yeah, we can actually put these patch. We can put these patch notes into the
like the Steam page.
The Steam page, yeah. I guess I'm just gonna well, maybe let's do a new heading, art, and this will be attack order icons. One day I'll learn to type /spell. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that opens up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like Maximus was pointing out, there's a lot of things we can do now with that.
Yeah. Let's see. There aren't any attack if there aren't any attack types, it would be fine to do with tokens. Be nicer at least to read. Yeah. Let's see here. I have too much stuff open here. I'm trying to fix it. What the heck? Do I have multiple instances of... Oh, it's just... Okay, yeah. Never mind. Sorry. Okay, Alright, where to start then? I want these two things. I think, I mean, I guess we just start from the top and work our way down, right? Almost at this point.
Probably.
Well, okay, let's do Abyssal Horde. Abyssal Horde just what gains a minion every time they attack.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that makes... I mean, that's the most one-for-one comparison without it being... Like, obviously, it's not like gains minions equal to the number of units. That'd be crazy. But I think gaining a minion every time they attack, I think, is good.
Question. Would the minions also be attacking the same target, or would they be new, unique monsters, effectively?
I think they're just a new, unique monster. But I guess you could have it so that minions attack... No, because I don't want that as like a... I think minions basically just act as monsters, but are just very weak. Because if you have it so like that they're a subset of the other thing, does that mean they just... Well, I guess you just stack the cards, right? Yeah. I was just trying to think of how that would look clarity-wise.
Probably just like stack cards on top of each other. Or next to each other. Or it can be its own unique monster. I'm not opposed to either.
Gain a minion every time it attacks. All minions die with the attack. Because like you could stack them on... You could stack them on cards. I'm trying to think what's the most interesting way to play it. I mean, you could have different types of minions eventually. We could figure that out, but who have different attack orders, I think might be more interesting. I kind of feel like it should just be a monster that just happens to be its own thing, because yeah, minions are just like an additional monster, like just an additional weak monster. Because monster deal. All right, let me think through the options. Option 1 is, yeah, what I said. They are just a separate monster. Option 2, you play them with they're like a subset of the monster, which brings the question whether they die when the main monster dies. Do they have a health rating? Like, is it essentially like adding a unit to the... No, I think they should behave as their own monster, as I think about it more. Because, like, then you can have stuff like Chaos Worm. When it dies, it draws 3 minions, and the minions go on the board because they're not part of the Chaos Worm, right? Because if they're part of the Chaos Worm... Because, like, yeah, if it was part of the Chaos Worm, then they would, in theory, if they would I can't think of how to phrase this. They would attack the same way the Chaos Worm does, but if the Chaos Worm's dead, then, you know, that doesn't make any sense. But with the Abyssal Horde, it would make more sense. I think, honestly, the Endlings or minions should just be their own monsters. I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, feel free to disagree, but...
I think being their own card gives us more options outside of the Abyssal Horde. I think we could give the Abyssal Horde specific text if we wanted to be like play a minion card on Abyssal Horde, blah 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 blah. Like, if we want it to be that kind of like specifically for this card, use the minions in a unique way, that's fine. But I think the minions themselves probably should be just their own unique card type that can be played.
Yeah. I think if we wanted, the easiest text would be is like, when Abyssal Horde is in play, all minions act in the attack order that the Abyssal Horde would. Maybe would be the way to do it, but I don't even know if that's necessary. Or attack the target that the Abyssal Horde would.
I mean, I
think that's
that was
cool.
not... Holy shit, that's not necessarily a power level 3 card. Well, that's a risk... Sorry. The power level 3 isn't specifically the part that matters, but like when you look at a power level 3 card and you go, oh, that's not that bad. Oh, wait, it makes every minion on the board attack the same target as the Abyssal Horde. Oh no.
It's not a 5-copy card is what it is.
That turns it into like world ender territory.
Which maybe is actually a good cool redo for World Ender or something like that.
Holy shit.
That's a cooler World Ender attack almost.
Yeah.
The minions are in a horde. They come from the Abyssal Horde. Should they are they not? Should they attack in unison? So the idea, I mean, they could. I mean, yeah, and that's, I guess, kind of what we were just talking about there. I think there just has to be a way to... Just because they come from them, I don't think means... Because I want to implement minions in multiple ways rather than just the Abyssal Horde.
It have to be something like this. When this monster... When this monster attacks, play a Endling minion card. All minions attack the same target as the Abyssal Horde.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And then maybe we just lower this to like 3 copies. The thing
is
is
not 5.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, Abyssal Horde definitely had too many copies to start with. But the other thing is, with Endlings being their own deck, the number of cards in here doesn't matter as much because you're always drawing Endlings, assuming we do like the, easy god always draws Endlings. And honestly, I would even consider maybe not saying Endling minion, just saying minion.
Saying minion.
Because that way we can have multiple types of minions if we ever get to that point.
Fair.
I think that could be cool.
And then I think Do we want to keep this defeated effect idea of like gaining units equal to the number of minions when it was destroyed?
I almost think you get to destroy an X number of minions when it dies. Is that? No, because that's almost the same thing. Well,
Not entirely.
kill all minions when it dies.
That is an option as well.
Because that's a more powerful effect, potentially, if there are minions on the board, but because right now the effect is not more powerful than it. The defeated effect doesn't match how scary the enemy is. So I think honestly killing all minions, well, see, and in that case it doesn't feel like a 3 anymore. Kill 3 minions when it dies.
Getting a certain number of minions it kills could be interesting because now you have to make trade-offs as a player of like, okay, every time it attacks, it's going to put another minion card onto the battlefield. And ostensibly, there will be other cards putting minion cards on the battlefield. So within like a couple turns, if we don't kill it, the reward for killing it is less than the amount of value in terms of minions it's played.
Yeah.
So it does make it interesting. If it was like maybe destroy 5 minions on the field, because like ostensibly, if it attacks within 3 turns, if you kill it in 3 turns, maybe not 5, maybe 4 or 3, I don't know, but like somewhere in that number, because like if it attacks twice, that's 2 minions.
Yeah.
If you have another card that's playing minions, that's most likely going to be another 2 minions. So it's already 4 minions on the board.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to wait more than 3 turns to kill it, is basically what it ends up to being, or however number of minions it will spawn. 3. But it's also more beneficial if there's already minions on the board. You killing it gives you a bit of an edge. And this is kind of playing. This kind of plays to the AOE thing we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, that does hit some of the AOE piece of like, okay, cool, kill some other shit.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
I'm gonna leave it at 4 for now. That might not be the right number, but hey, we gotta playtest that shit.
Yeah. And power level 3, we think still. I think it's
for now.
Fair, yeah. It's kind of weird when they have different health and different attack, or like their attack and health are the same. Sometimes that makes balancing a little tricky, but okay, I think Chaos Worm drawing 3 minions is cooler than drawing a random card. How do you feel?
Yes.
Okay. Minion capitalized, minion cards. Keep the stuff consistent. I think that's more fair and more different. Like, we already have Rift Spawner spawning shit and stuff like that, so. Okay. Let's see. All right, well, that fixed Abyssal Horde, so that's cool.
Oh, and then you updated Chaos Worm as well?
Chaos Worm, yep.
Sorry, I wrote a note down.
No, you're good. Oh, yeah, I guess we gotta, throw that in there. All right, you're getting that. Do we still need this highlighted? Probably not.
Do we still want to call it Abyssal Horde, or do we want to call it something else?
I think it's probably fine. The art is still still a horde, so
that's fair.
I think just leaving it for now. If we really want to change it eventually, it's fine. But Um, let's see. Yeah, the interesting thing about the Endling too is it does attack weakest. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because, like, they're bound to attack. I almost feel like they should attack the strongest.
Probably.
Because they're doing the least damage, but they should be picking units off of bigger cards rather than
I feel like
knocking off your weakest things.
Yeah, because Endling and being weak but attacking the weakest means you always need to have some level of defense spread across your weak cards.
Yeah.
It doesn't pick off like the strongest things. It doesn't try to like minion swarm, like Zergling rush your big guys. It tries to like snipe your small stuff. Whereas I feel like it'd be more interesting to have a really high power level card that only attacks weakest, so it's like smiting you.
Even if honestly that's the Shade. Like, it's not a high power level, but you still it's low power level and you're like, I just need to deal with this quickly, otherwise it's gonna pick off all my.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's weak, but it still is we should just swap
definitely
those
not
two,
the
I
weakest
think.
card though. Like I think the weakest card should not be attacking weakest.
I mean, there's still other things attacking weakest, though, right? Like another muck is not another muck is a bad example. Rift Spawner is attacking weakest and has a 7.
That's a good example, though. Like this thing is just smiting you. It's smiting your weakest people, but it's 7 damage. So honestly, that's smiting your weakest is not the worst.
Yeah. So yeah, I think honestly swapping Shade and Endling makes sense. Yeah. Or should
I think so.
Both? Okay, yeah.
Just for now. I mean, here. I got weakest, so you
go.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Was already doing it.
Did it in the wrong order.
Attacks weakest would make playing weak cards super difficult. Yeah. Especially, if there's so many Endlings showing up. I think that's... Because Endlings are going to be much more common now, obviously, so...
It might also be worth decreasing the number of shades. I don't know by how much, but...
They're easy to deal with, though. That's the thing, right? Because even though they're attacking your lower guys...
They do give a reward, at least, too.
Yeah. I mean, they're effectively an Endling. They just attack differently.
They're an Endling, but stronger, and they give a reward, whereas an Endling literally does nothing and is basically the Zergling.
Yeah, but effectively... You're not going to attack a unit with one unit, or attack a bad guy with one unit on them anyway, so it's going to give you back the one unit. So effectively, they're a 1 power level. Really. Yeah. But still. Anyway.
Do you want to tackle World Ender?
Yeah, let's look at it. I still think it's cool. Honestly, I think fixing it might just be changing it to like a power level of something else. Like 5. Which kind of makes them seem like a pushover, but they're still destroying... Like, the thing is, no enemy card doesn't... It always gets to do something when it's played, unless it's spawned by something else other than its card draw, if that makes sense.
Well, this is also interesting because the power level doesn't matter in relation to its damage, meaning like
correct.
It's just gonna destroy something.
Yeah. I would almost argue lowering all the cards on the monster deck and then like dividing everything by like 3 almost, and then allowing for like the monster deck to be reshuffled more often. Is that interesting? Because like I don't know. Well, because maybe that's too much of a thing for right now, but
big tweak.
But let's say, okay, let's pretend we change it to, I don't know, 5, which just makes it seem less scary. But it's still getting played on its turn, destroying one of your cards regardless, whatever, like destroying your card with the most units, and then you can deal with it next turn, or if you don't, you're screwed. Like it's I think that might just be how it has to be.
Well, definitely, you definitely need to be able to kill it quickly, or it needs some type of requirement. Like
if it attacked every other turn, that's a decent option. Although kind of confusing to keep track of, maybe. That is kind of cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if it just can't attack on the turn it's played. Oh, shnikes. This isn't my music. Well, we've been streaming for longer than I've ever streamed before. Hopefully I don't get copy struck. Not that it really matters. Just mute the section, worst case. I think actually that might not be a bad thing. Like, it can't attack the turn it's placed, but it has a power level of 10, giving you at least a chance to destroy it. It's kind of effectively similar to like a requirement of like you have to have a certain number of cards in order to in order for it to appear. Or I mean, we could do that where it's just like you have to have, if there's a total combined number of player cards of whatever, then it can appear. Otherwise, it's reshuffled into the deck.
Mm. I have a terrible idea.
I'm ready.
It's not that terrible. It's just like it introduces a new concept that we haven't used in this game yet.
Okay.
Could we somehow have like not exactly a dual-faced card, because I don't know how the fudge that would work.
Yeah.
But can it be a card that has two different like versions where like if it comes out when you only have a certain number of cards on the field, it comes out as like this middle of the road enemy, but if you come out with if it comes out when you have like 10 cards on the board or something, then it turns into the world ender. So it's like think of like to use a video game reference, think of like Diablo as the Dark Traveler versus Diablo. Like it comes if it comes out and you only have a couple cards, it's the Dark Traveler, which is a weaker card, not doing as much damage to you. But if it comes out and you have too many cards, it's the end boss.
I think I can maybe do one better without introducing a fully new mechanic. Its power level is equal to like the number of minions in play. And we can play with our new mechanic. Or power level equal to like X plus the number of minions, or equal to the number of player cards in play. I think like equal to the number of like its power level is equal to the number of cards in play, or like something like that. I think could be cool, right?
So, yeah. Also, I'm trying to,
because that's similar to what your concept is, but at least able to do something.
Who the hell is the monsters? Let's see what
if it's getting played while they're dealing with an abyssal horde, it could ruin the game. True.
Yeah.
So maybe not minions, but like number of player cards in play. Because that feels kind of good, I think.
Do I have some extension on my Google Drive that's making everything Inverted colors?
Oh, I wonder if that's my extension shouldn't apply to your stuff, should it?
I opened up the PDF, and the PDF for the cards images is inverted colors for me.
That's a specific one. That was my printer-friendly one. There's another one in there. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the actual, whatever. Yeah. No, yeah. I made those just because if you don't want to use like all your black ink, there should be a separate one that's for non, whatever.
There we go. I want to look at the. Where's the Canada March? I think I went too far. Yes. World Ender. The big scary man.
It's a big Cthulhu boy.
Okay, sorry, I got distracted. So
you're good.
So he would still destroy a card the moment he comes out.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a whole lot different from like the what is it? Desolation. Although players get to choose what card that is, but in theory, every card he destroys, the less powerful he becomes. So I think that's kind of a cool trade-off. Right, like if he instantly kills one of your cards, he loses effective power level as well. And so once it gets like, if you get down to you having, 4 cards in your hand, you can effectively, or like in your thing, you can effectively defeat him much easier.
It would technically speaking also upset the equilibrium of like that crazy game that you had with the massive board state. World Ender comes out in that situation, and it's like a 50-50 or like a 50 power level card. But then as it starts working its way through things.
Oh shit, yeah, I didn't even think about that. If it gets crazy, then is that... Well, honestly, we had a crap ton of units eventually. We had like 30 units on a character, but the problem is we didn't have enough action economy to deal with it. And if you would deal with it, if you kill it, it lets you kill any other card controlled by the old god.
Yeah. You know what?
I think that's a decent, like, give it like just an X power level.
Like,
that should in theory work. What if
cards
World Ender was double-sided? We've tried double-sided stuff. I don't want to touch it again.
is equal to what? 5 plus the number of cards? 3 plus the number of cards?
I think you would just even say 1 plus the number of cards. Because in theory, or just the number of cards, because in theory it's always going to be at least 2, because there's 2 gods in the...
Is it all cards or just the
players? Sorry. It's just player cards.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Actually, it doesn't... honestly, you don't even need to have 1. You could just equal the number of player cards controlled by the... people. Yeah,
I guess
need 1. It's always 2. It's always 2 at the very minimum. Because I would just count the gods in that, because they are player cards. Yeah, I think that's cool. It's a weird card, but I think it works. I think that nerfs the high act. Well, doing that nerfs the active of the cards. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's a... Like, cards I don't think necessarily should be, like, super unbalanced necessarily either. Like, it... this feels good to me, honestly. And we can just play test it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then... Merp. Still destroying one of your cards when it's played, you know? So
yeah, we'll see how it plays.
uh,
Also, I will throw this out. It has nothing to do with the actual game balance and more just the thematics. I'm not sure if I want this to be the world ender anymore because, like, I don't know how world endy that feels, but that's purely a thematic thing.
yeah.
Like it's a big creature that comes out and destroys things, feels dangerous. A creature that comes out and is relative to like all of the shit you have doesn't necessarily feel like the world enderer. He feels like, I don't know, maybe something different, but again, very thematic, has nothing to do with the game balance, so it's not something we need to fix right now.
I think part of the problem is the game might not be able to be imbalanced.
Sorry,
Still being like, I don't think the game can be like as like, I think the monsters might actually end up having to be more balanced than we were thinking. I guess like rarity is a balance right now, but there's nothing stopping them from drawing like a really powerful card turn 1. And
I'm more thinking thematically, like,
oh yeah, like we just,
this card comes out and its power is relative to all of the other things and it focuses on destroying stuff. Feels like it maybe should be like the Ravager instead. Like, that's what I mean when I say thematic.
So like its name mostly.
Yeah, like literally, like, I feel like World Ender should be something that's like big like and dangerous and like not potentially it comes out and it's got 2 power level or 3 power level and you one shot it. Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying. Purely thematically,
right? That makes sense. Yeah, could use a rename. Although, still probably the most powerful card out there, just because it destroys.
Oh,
it could destroy a thing with 20 units on it. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rift Spawner, it's strong. I think it's still fine. I think most of these other guys are fine.
I kind of want to leave Rift Spawner with drawing an additional card because...
yeah. It's still powerful and cool. I think it's fine. Honestly, most of these other things I think I'm okay with. I guess the only thing that... Ravager gaining 2 units feels kind of... maybe but maybe not.
Kind of feels for a 5 power level.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like gaining units is not exactly a great reward for killing a monster. You're killing anything really, because you have to spend units to kill them.
The ones that feel better are like the like maybe it's gain 2 units on, or you and your ally gain 2 units on a card of your choice.
Yeah.
Because that's more interesting and more cooperative. Because like the ones that feel good are like the I don't know, like destroying a land, right? You gain 6 units on like, or whatever. You gain 2 units on a structure on all structures you control.
Like you and your allies.
What if World Ender was put at the bottom of the deck so you can vaguely tell when the World Ender is approaching? That could actually be kind of cool.
I like that concept. I think it would need to be a different World Ender.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
This one's not nearly as threatening right now.
Yeah, it's like a clock, you know?
Well, okay, so that's where I'm like, from a thematic perspective, maybe this becomes the Ravager. We take the Ravager current form and give it to something else, and then the World Ender is something even meaner, but we do what Maximus was saying and have it like always be at a certain point in the deck.
That is kind of cool. And I think a god could determine that, right? Like put this card at the bottom of the deck. But I think that gets kind of like toward our deck building sort of thing. Because like, I think if we do deck building, the players get to deck build, but so does the monster, quote unquote, right? Like...
I'm going to put that as a note lower down in the patch note. I did not mean to comment on that. I'm going to put that as a note lower in the patch notes of... Or maybe not the patch notes. Do we have a note stock anywhere?
All that's too. I would make a new one, honestly.
Organization's
we need
getting
to reorganize everything.
Mess. Okay, I'm gonna make a folder. I'm gonna call it Game Jam.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna shove
everything
from the actual Game Jam in there.
Deal.
Including post game jam and playtest.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, throw that in there. Because it's unorganized as well.
What's the mod stuff? Oh, it's just a code.
It's literally a code, so I just don't lose it. But potentially other stuff if that comes up.
What is Armies against Entropy TCG expanded? Oh, this is just more notes.
Yes, that was when that was more Game Jam stuff. You can throw that in
there. Okay, so at this point we got the design sheet, the patch 0 or 1.0.1, the rulebook, and then I'm gonna make a new doc that I'm just gonna call AAE Game Design Notes.
Like future plans, maybe, or
future plans.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add one. I'll do deck building, and then under that, I'm going to do a note that is old gods can indicate where certain are placed in the deck.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
I think that's good enough for now.
Yep, I agree.
Destroy structure of the Illica, draw a card.
God, where am I? Here we are.
Oh, I think this falls into the play the hero or put the card into your hand.
Yep.
I think hand is capitalized typically.
I think so.
Destroy 4 minions, gain 1 unit card of your choice, and Ling won't give you anything.
Yep.
Okay, now we can start changing some of the shit up.
I think first off, we can probably change the number of lands from 4 to something else, like 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Just for giggles. I think there are just too many lands. Although lands are going to be a little bit different, but let me look at the card art and see what makes what I think makes sense, because I think one would be like Forsaken Forest looks very endlingy.
Yeah,
it's got all the crystals. Or Wasteland, potentially. Blighted Marsh. I guess I did a lot of crystals, and I would say we make Blighted Marsh, Wasteland, and Forsaken Forest all have endling effects.
I'm down with that.
Okay. To start.
The fuck?
Actually, here, let's do this.
God damn it.
What? You break everything.
No, I just didn't save my title for the doc. Fine.
Oh.
Sorry, so Forest, Wasteland, and Marsh.
Wasteland and Marsh, yes. So all those, I think so. One is going to be like...
Do we want to change any of the defeated effects or leave those as is?
Let's change the card and then see if that makes sense for the defeated effect, I would say, because maybe potentially I would say the only ones, I mean, all of them are pretty balanced and work pretty well. I think they're fine. I would say we could potentially change them more to card draw, but I'm not entirely certain. But that also makes you want to prioritize them more, so.
Could just say.
So I guess, yeah, Forest, Old God draws. So I'd say we have like one. Honestly, I guess we could just make it like a varying level. One's like draws 3, one draws 2, one draws 1, and then we make their health accordingly.
Minions?
Yeah, their health accordingly. So like a one that draws 1 minion per turn has 15 health, one that draws 2 cards per turn that has 10 health, and one that draws 3 that has 5 health. Does that seem interesting, or do we want like special effects where it's like if a monster dies, draw additional endlings or something, or additional minions?
So like,
or maybe just like not have a middle one, like a 2 per turn. Maybe have like just a 3 and the 1, and then maybe do like maybe like for like a wasteland, it could be like if there are no monsters. No, that would be kind of. I was gonna say if there's no monsters, draw like X number of minions, but I don't know if that really works.
I'd say let's leave it 3, 2, 1 for now, just to see how this changes, because we literally have introduced an entire new mechanic.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what the scaling is like this. So here's the thing: I could see this being actually less powerful than drawing an additional card per turn, and I mean like it absolutely could be less powerful and probably is.
Yeah,
but I could also see it being a lot worse, because like 3 1-power minions is gonna put a lot of blockers out, and you can't kill them by blocking. Remember, so that way, like you have to attack. So if you have 3 minions each turn, and you only have 1 hero each, you can only kill 1 minion each turn, and it's still putting out 3. So it's gonna gain a minion each turn, and they're always attacking.
Yeah, I think it's gonna play cool to that, like you're fighting against Entropy sort of thing. I think it's gonna
make the strongest land the weakest one.
Correct. The most card draw. Honestly, we could probably even bump these. I'm wondering. Yeah, actually, I think
each of these is 10. What lands are 10 except the land that only plays 1 minion, and that one's
100.
Yep, nope, not that.
Yeah, all lands are 10, maybe.
Yeah, just to see what it does.
Yeah, and I could potentially see making like one of the lands draw like 2 cards and then have like 3 health. But I don't know if that's crazy or if that's good for variation.
Meh. I have no opinions on it right now.
I'm trying to think. I think it should be. I think it'd be cool to just add, just for the fun of it. What one seems like it would be? It would draw 2.
Probably the Abyss.
Okay, yeah, we'll just do draws 2 and then has, I don't know, 5 health.
Sure.
Okay. Sure.
We get to that point of game design where I'm probably not making the most informed decisions. I'm more just like, I'm trying to do some variation. Let's make some variation.
It's kind of hard to know at a certain point, but...
Wait, do I capitalize card? I capitalize card. Fudge.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of just changes that we kind of just have to make and see what happens.
Sometimes you make changes very tactically and informed, and sometimes you're just like,
why not?
See what happens. Okay.
Do we need to do anything to structures? I think the only thing, maybe... I don't think they really should be based on... I mean, we could have... We don't have any card gain on structures, do we?
No. For the monster or for
the monsters?
Yeah. No.
Okay, because I think that's meant for just lands only. So I think that makes sense. I think the only thing to do is maybe change its health based on its relative power level. Because, like, right now, for some reason, Chaos Keep has 10 and everything else has 5.
Which is ironic. Chaos Keep is one of the worst.
I guess it kind of depends. Like, honestly, I think, like, the change to the attack order could be stronger, probably. Like, that could be... maybe 10?
Yeah.
Or, honestly, I think we should stop being afraid of random numbers. 8.
In between numbers.
Yeah, we keep going 1, 3, 5, 10,
sometimes 7, and then
15. 10. Like, we should stop being afraid of that.
Whole numbers are easier for math. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything here that like jumps out at me as like, oh, this is terrible.
There was one that I was like, that's insane. Old gods draw cards from their discard pile. That doesn't really matter.
This one's powerful, actually.
Yeah. The question is, do we leave it at 5 and buff the other ones, or do we lower it? Also, play a land immediately doesn't actually... That's actually kind of crap for how powerful that is.
Yeah.
What if we just do kill all endlings? And then just make it more, like, just...
Yeah, I mean, it could be destroy all minions.
Yeah.
The old god controls.
And then I'm okay with it actually being maybe even, like, just a smidge stronger. Because that's a pretty strong defeated effect.
We're closing the Oblivion Gate, so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Monster deals damage. This one's insane. Amplification Tower.
Yeah. Well, now that we've introduced minions, that's stupid.
That's too powerful. It needs to be like 2 or 3.
Let's jump it to 3.
Yeah.
Oh. Or. I need to look at the power levels of other cards, but what if it just sets the power level of all cards to 3?
That is chaotic.
So suddenly your endlings become like stupid powerful, but also your other like strong monsters are
that's kind of fun. Yeah.
Maybe not 3 eventually. Like we have to play with it a little bit, but like
sets all monsters power level to 3. So
the monster attacks and I guess it would just be all monster.
Just monsters, or is it? Yeah, it's just monsters. Yeah, sorry.
Monster cards now have a power level of 3.
Do we change its health then, or is that just more balanced?
That's what I'm wondering. It's like it makes it easier to kill other things, but now minions are a legitimate threat.
Yeah.
Let's try that for now and see how it goes.
I would say monsters now attack structures first. I might just buff this like a smidge, like maybe go 8 again.
Yeah.
Old gods draw from their discard pile, and that's kind of neutral. I would say it's generally worse because like you clearly tried to kill the thing, so being able to play them is bad. So I think that could maybe stay as 5?
Yeah, let's leave it as 5 for now.
At the old of the end's turn, at the end of the old god's turn, remove 3 units from the strongest hero. This is actually, I don't know if it's worded correctly or not. So you only lose 3 units per turn. So it's pretty weak, I would say. Like it's like you get.
It's weak, yeah.
So I think buffing that to like 10 is honestly fair.
Oh, I said to 15, but
oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Fine.
No, let's do a 15. Why not? This one is so absurd. This one's also absurdly powerful. Null Sanctum.
Players, unit phase, any cards. Oh.
Yeah. It's like you have to deal with that instantly. I'm gonna say 4 because I don't want to go much lower than 5, or like really much lower than 5, but
if you don't kill that instantly, though, it starts like a death spiral.
Yeah, so
because if you can't kill it instantly, you're never going to gain enough units to be able to kill it.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all cool, right? I think it's all rebalanced, and then spells. I don't think we need to touch.
I think they're fine for now.
Okay. Cool. I was gonna say what? Oh, you did. Okay, you're already on top of things. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. I'm ignoring stuff where we only like partially rework a card. Like if we tweak a card, I'm just leaving it as is because it's like, well,
you could probably even just say like rebalanced structures, right? Like you don't even need to like specifically say what we did, but or yeah, I don't even know if that. Yeah, done. Boom, ba-doo-dum.
we basically just, hey, we made it so that way if a structure has a big effect, it has a lower power level.
Yeah. Cool. That's
most of the
old god stuff.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
With the exception of, I guess, the gods themselves, actually. I would argue probably God of Rot. We go to draws 2 cards per turn and then draws 1 Endling per turn. Or 1 minion, sorry. Does that make sense? Minion card?
Yeah, do minion card.
I think that's how we've been doing it. Is that all capitalized? Card is capitalized. You said that earlier.
Yes.
And then this, honestly, could probably but increase the number of minions to 2.
And this one goes, draw 3 cards per turn, draws 2 minion cards per turn.
That seems fair. Sure. Trying to decide if we... Honestly, the health almost doesn't matter past 15. Like, at a certain point, you're just generating a lot of units, and then you have to just defeat everything else, and then at a certain point, you just kill it. So, I might just do this, just for the heck of it. But, I don't know if that's even necessary. I think, honestly, the health of cards is going to have to be, like... We're going to have to play test more to figure out whether any of that's worthwhile or not. The whole Endling change, I think, is pretty huge. The minions.
Yeah, the minions are going to be a massive change, but I'm okay with that.
For art, the board needs to say minions on it. Because it says monsters right now, but doesn't say minions. Okay. All right. Do we want to work on anything else, or do we want to call it or something? I don't know how you're feeling.
Probably should go do errands or like chores around the house.
I was gonna say
did
probably
just redo the entire monster deck,
Monster
so
deck.
that's a lot of change.
No, I was like, that was a good accomplishment and a good stopping point. So we've been streaming for 3.5 hours, so I'm not really worried about it. Or not. I'm happy with that, and I also probably need to eat like a lunch or whatever it is, a dinner. So yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I guess let's just quickly remove anything from this. Okay, we did that. We did World Ender. What's strike through? Is there a shortcut?
When I was striking through stuff, it was literally just like we've already discussed handling that.
Oh no, I meant like a shortcut for doing that.
Oh, it's some stupid thing.
It's like Control Shift like 5 or something.
Alt Shift 5.
I knew. I was close. There's usually not Alt Shift for things, so that's why it's confusing. Growth, teleport, charm. Do we not have like a category where we just said like fix old gods or old? I guess
we said old god revisions. No, we never actually put old gods down technically.
Oh, and no, review monster deck right here. Alt Shift 5. Hopefully that adds some choice. I mean, obviously you're going to go for things that aren't endlings first, but I think it should be better, hopefully.
Well, it also gives us a new mechanic that, like, if things aren't still working as we want, then we can switch other cards over to have effects with minions.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that feels good, and it's kind of guaranteeing they have someone that can attack too, which I think is good. It's not like they're just drawing a crap ton of land. I'm just trying to think if we want to change any of the other numbers of cards, but it's kind of really hard to know. I guess we'll see.
I think we need to play it a little bit because we decreased the number of lands as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide if I like the choice of removing more lands now. Especially because we reduced its number of card draws. You know what? I'm gonna say
leave it as is for now. Like, meaning like go back to 4.
I agree.
See how it feels, because we only half the lands actually give card draw.
Yep. So no, I think I want to leave it, yeah, because I'd rather not alter too many things, and that way we can learn what's happening. So, yeah, I think the thing to like remember is that we shouldn't be trying to make the final patch every game, if that makes sense. Like a lot of time when I'm doing it, I'm like, this needs to be perfect this patch. I think that's a fool's errand. We need to test things rather than being like, this is going to be the perfect result.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what my brain wants to do. But
we want to change a lot of things all at once to like fix all of these different problems, but like let's do it selectively. Like, we know that there's going to be an entire deck building pass, and that will probably more heavily affect the numbers of copies.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. You know what? I'm just gonna make the endlings have like 15 cards in the deck, I guess. I don't know, just because I don't know how that's gonna play. I think we probably eventually can reduce the number of cards in the.
I think we can and just have it like reshuffle the deck and
because
stuff
like
that.
70 some odd cards is kind of crazy, but I think we want to see how endlings work first, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, that's the
and
biggest.
That's maybe something that goes to our future doc. Reduce total number of cards in deck ?
Yeah.
Because I think that, like, especially even especially that, I think that might end up being part of deck building, honestly, because
I think it will, and I think we will decrease the number of cards because it'll be more interesting to go through the deck and reshuffle it and put it back in, and now you have the another random set of cards, so you can see more world enders or rift spawners or structures. I think that might be more interesting than just only seeing a couple of those cards a game and a bunch of chaff, basically. But
I agree. I think it'd be cooler to see more unique, or have like more unique monsters popping up more often rather than
just the same fucking shades 15 times.
A bunch of fodder. Yeah, exactly.
But moving the endlings into their own deck definitely helps with that, because you're going to see endlings, but they're not cluttering up the main deck anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, this was definitely a good pass. I think we still have some things to do before we'll call it. Also, I'm going to call this actually a patch v 1.1 at this point.
Okay, yeah. That's
because you have it 1.0.1. This is 1.1. We've added an entirely new mechanic.
Agreed. Yep.
1.0.1 would be a bunch of balance changes.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, it ended up being, honestly, the minions was a big change I wasn't entirely expecting, but
I think it's a good idea though. I like the idea where we got with it, and also I don't know if you're still in chat, Maximus, but definitely appreciate all of your feedback, to be honest, as we talked, but specifically the one around like minions and like adding tokens. I think this is a really cool thing that we've added to the game.
Yeah, no, that was really helpful. I don't think he's viewing because I think he left. Viewership dropped to like nothing, and but I do appreciate it. Yeah, honestly, his feedback was really, really good. There's a lot of good thoughts in there. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that was a great stream. Again, it was the longest stream I've ever done so far, so that's cool. It's a lot easier when you have like other people doing it.
You're flowing a little bit better.
And also thank you for writing stuff, because I am not good at that. As per usual. You're the bee's knees, you know? That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm good at this freaking thing.
Okay, cool. I'm going to end stream. Everyone, thank you for joining me. If you're still here, if you're not, thank you anyway. And I will see you. I'm going to try to be doing streams every Wednesday, Friday now. I think I switched up. Friday seemed to be like a good day. I don't know if that was just happened to be, I don't know, everyone was like hungover from 4th of July or something, but yeah, Wednesday, Fridays, and then potentially extra days on the weekend if I'm feeling it. So, all right. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.